Hello there. Welcome back to the Random Show episode number 109. Random Show episode number 109 with your host, Agostinho Zinga, and I hope you are doing well wherever this stream may find you. I hope you are doing well. And for those of you who listen after the fact, hello, hi. It is I, Agostino. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. How am I? You know how it is. Things are going swimmingly, as they usually do. 109 the Agostino Zinga show, the Random Show, sorry. And yeah, many things to talk about. Many things to go through. Number one thing we want to mention, shout out everyone jumping into the chat. I see you, Uche, see you, Lucid Footwear and Clothing. The one thing I want to talk about straight away was that I'm getting quite a few comments here and there, not often, but here and there, from the first little video that I ripped from the Comedy Mothership Instagram. I ripped, I think maybe the opening night, or no, it wasn't opening night. It might have been, I think it was opening weekend. It might have been the opening weekend, the one with Tim Dillon in it, right? And that opening weekend Instagram video, I ripped it from the Comedy Mothership Instagram. I screen recorded off my phone. I kept the flipping, logo of the Comedy Central thing, Comedy Mothership thing on there. And it's quite clear that it's a video taken from the Comedy Mothership Instagram. Like, it's not, I didn't film it. But every other day or so, there's somebody leaving a comment. How did you get a phone inside? Why did you leave your phone locked up in the bag? Like, what's going on? Is there a fucking pandemic for like idiocy out there? Did I not label it correctly? Do people just automatically assume because it's online that someone must have recorded themselves? Like, surely you could just check by the video. You can just see that that's been ripped off of somebody else's Instagram. It's not like I recorded it myself. And it's loads of different angles. It's like, I don't know. I just thought that was weird. Like, everyone keeps asking, how'd you get the phone in there? How'd you get a phone in there? I'm like, okay, I didn't. Not my video. Clearly stated there. This video is footage taken from the Comedy Mothership Instagram account. I don't know what more you want from me. But I did not film that video. It was not my filming. Clearly, because they don't allow phones in there. I think everyone kind of aware of that. Even me, I don't even live over there, and I know this, right? They don't allow phones in there. They've got that flipping Dave Chappelle Yonder program thing going on. I think so, anyway, where you put your phones in these little pouches, and then you leave them outside. And if you want to use them, you have to go back outside to go and use them. So to dissuade people from using phones inside and recording. So it wasn't me. But they clearly have an in-house social media team that records everything, same way how they have an in-house photographer that takes pictures. But I'm sure you can't take your own pictures in there. So that stuff is, pretty self-explanatory. But I thought I just had to kind of put it out there because I get too many questions like, how did you get your phone in there, man? You must be like James Bond, bro. It's like, nah, man, I'm not like James Bond. I wish I was. I'm not, but I wish I was deeply. But anyway, enough about that. Mind the complaints in the hood. Big up the chat. Big up everybody tuning in. Appreciate every single one of you. Big up Richie. Big up Jack Miner. Big up Pablo's just joined in. Of course, Uche as usual. Big up every single one of you. We've got loads of things to jump on into. It's a bit of a slow one, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. There's not much going on, but I thought I'd just bang this one out just in case, innit? Bang this one out. So, let's move on. First things first to mention is this news I saw courtesy of cracked.com. The headline is Joe Rogan is no longer in love with being the uncancelable comedy don. Obviously the headline's is a bit clickbaity, but essentially it's Joe Rogan complaining that running a club isn't what it all cracked up to be, like the day-to-day of running it, which is self-evident. But also I'd imagine the stress of having all these fucking leeches of flipping comedians who just want to use you for your clout and your fame, coming around you for they want to get flipping slots at a club. That's got to be really exhausting. I think I said it before in the podcast. I wonder what's more exhausting for Joe. Like, what gives him more of a headache day to day? Having comedians, try and like suck up to him to get on the podcast, or having comedians, bug him to get a set at the comedy club? Like, what's got to be more of a headache day to day? Because I think the podcast is definitely more of a headache because the podcast covers, a whole range of people. It's not only comedians. Everyone wants to get on there because whatever they're selling, whether it's a book, a supplement, opening a new hotel, it's going to do bits. So I wonder which one is more annoying day to day. Obviously, if you got, but as Richie said, if you got both, it's horrible, right? If you're running a club and you've got one of the, the world's most successful podcasts, it's going to be a nightmare to deal with, especially if you're managing both of the things. I think if Rogan kind of like was outsourcing a lot of the booking of the podcast, maybe he could kind of, blame somebody else. Same thing with the comedy club, but I think now he's starting to tell people, oh, this AKADEMIKS guy is the one that's in charge. I think he's been saying that. I think from what I remember, kind of like, reading between the lines, it sounds like he's starting to like palm off a lot of responsibilities, to people he doesn't want to play, to AKADEMIKS, and the ones he wants, he gives them a personal call. So with Joe, it's pretty obvious if you're going to get booked there, you get a personal call. Usually, I'd imagine, especially if you're friends, you get a personal call from him. He picks up, hey, it's Joe, whatever that fucking accent is, right? Dude, I'd like you to come to my club. Anyway, let's read the article. It says, the king of anti-cancel culture comedy opened up the comedy membership in Austin, Texas early this year. A club where comedians can perform unfiltered, untweetable sets with the safety of knowing that their audience is unafraid, unvaccinated, and unarmed. Unvaccinated, slipping this one in there. Though vaccination cards are not needed to be gained into the comedy club, metal detectors are used to enforce the no firearms policy. Phones are confiscated upon admittance, and then audience members are subjected to compulsory face scans before they're seated. All of this stuff probably worries them more than the lack of flipping. Whoever's writing for Cracked is definitely one of those people that goes to the fucking supermarket now and still wears a face mask. They're more annoyed that Joe Rogan doesn't have mandatory flipping vaccination card entry policy, as opposed to him making sure that no one gets shot up inside there. That seems to be more of the fucking thing that's getting a bee under their bonnet. I just saw flipping Taylor Lorenz now actually posted a clip on her flipping, I think on Twitter, talking about what you talking about? Talking about how she's doing, I don't know, I think she got some article out on the Rolling Stones, and she's walking around in shops in LA wearing a face mask. Like, I'm just like, Taylor Lorenz, give it up, brother, man. She's got a face like she's a 60 and a body like she's flipping 21. It's absolutely bizarre. But anyway, big up Taylor Lorenz. We move on. Phones are confiscated upon admittance, and audience members are subjugated to compulsory face scans. The membership has hosted some of the comedy's most controversial figures. Anyway, during last week's episode with Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan complained to Paulie Shaw, which is funny, right? The son of Mitzi, who obviously ran the flipping comedy store, which all these guys flipping, wank over. During last week's episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan complained to Paulie Shaw, the son of legendary comedy store founders and himself a mothership performer. The owning and operating of a club that caters to fringe comics isn't always a walk in the park. The quote, I would always tell people, be nice to comedy club owners because you don't want to be one. Clearly, Joe Rogan lamented, saying that the wrangling of his lineups has been the biggest stressor of his club owner career. During dealing with green room full of Joe Rogans may no longer be Joe Rogan's dream job. And I think I said this before when I did a live stream, that I was curious before the club actually opened. I think I said a few times, I was wondering who was going to actually run the club day to day. Was Rogan going to do it? Because I feel like a lot of these podcast guys, I don't know what it is about them, but whenever they get into deals that have to do with managing people, they just assume they're going to be the manager. Very rarely do you see a podcaster who has like a network, who has like a podcast that gets signed, and maybe they have to hire more staff, who's going to open a studio. Very rarely do you see these people take the money from whatever partnership they're going to be, whoever's partnering up with them, and then say, hey, I'm going to invest this and hire somebody to do the day-to-day managing. Because I think it's one thing doing something out of your little studio with your three friends, but then if you're scaling it up, I think it's probably for the best that you get somebody else involved, like somebody like quote unquote a third party, an external source to come in and kind of be able to manage a team and be able to manage it from a quasi-professional way so that the lines between business and personal don't get blurred. That might be a good way to go about things, but everyone has to kind of do it themselves. They just assume because they're good podcasters that they're going to be good business people or good managers of people, which is not always a fact. And I thought, day to day, if the club's going to be open, Monday to Sunday, I don't know if it's open every single day of the week, but, let's say 5 days a week. That's a lot of work to be managing a place like that, when you've never done it before. He's rich and stuff, but it doesn't mean he's got experience doing all that stuff. And then I think in the first few weeks, it seemed like he had his you know, he was really there and kind of hands on. But then I've heard from a few times, a few comics. I think I heard Eric Griffin say it once already that when he went to perform that weekend, Rogan wasn't even there. So it looks like maybe he's starting to take a bit of a step back now and let whoever's managing the comedy mothership manage it. And then he, I guess, is the overseer. Obviously, he owns it, so he can do what he wants. But the day-to-day managing of it must be a bit of a bore. Not bore, it must be super, super stressful. I can imagine, especially on top of everything else he does. USC, the podcast, anything else he does on the side. That's a lot. The family, day to day, it's a lot of work, man. Like, you're just adding unnecessary stress that you don't need to be adding to your life. Essentially, you're giving yourself a 9 to 5. You know, Rogan, you know, made his entire career trying to get out of the rat race, right? He's somebody that clearly hates desk jobs. Like, anytime he talks about desk jobs and office jobs and how destructive they are, you know, the Joe Rogan subreddit explodes. People hate that when he starts speaking down upon people working regular jobs. He thinks everyone should have like a business, you know, making knives and flipping wooden furniture and shit. He doesn't understand why you wouldn't chase after your dreams. So it's just funny that now the same guy that was moaning and saying that, you know, office jobs are shit and they're cancerous is now the same person who's legitimately given himself a 9 to 5 on purpose. But now he's realizing it's not as cracked up to be. It continues here. It said, I had a talk to myself about it. Like, God damn, you really want to take this on? Rogan said, or the realization that the nightly stresses in simply getting these chosen anti-woke comics on stage will be a part and parcel of the mothership experience. This is the funny bit, right? You don't want to be some person hoping that this guy shows up and that he was not doing coke last night and that he's not on a 2-day bender. He missed his flights or didn't sleep, Rogan admitted. This is why, for me, I can never take seriously this whole narrative that all these guys, I'll say narrative because Brendan says it the way like that. It's not because I can't say flipping narrative. But the whole narrative around these comedians where they think that they're the hardest workers in the world, when most of them don't, you know, work at all. They do the bare minimum. And most of them go on stage telling the same tired jokes. It's not like they're at home crafting a new bit, crafting a new hour, you know, slaving over their previous jokes and making edits, whatever they may be. No, they just do the same thing that worked before, tune it, and then kind of repeat it again. They try and do the bare minimum and get the most results. So when they whole kind of flung this whole we work hard thing, not really. And also, if you're doing something that you enjoy, it's not really hard work anyway because you're doing it because you enjoy to do it. So that's by the by. And obviously it pays well as well because these guys, you know, if it wasn't paying well to podcast or to do stand-up, they wouldn't do it. There is, you know, I can't think of many stand-ups in that scene apart from maybe, I don't know, the Doug Stanhopes, I'll just think of it just now, who are literally in it for the art of making people laugh. Like, he would legitimately be doing it in a bar somewhere. Most of these guys, if stand-up didn't pay, they wouldn't be doing it. The funny thing that makes me laugh about it is that, right? So I can never take them seriously about working hard. The other thing that's really hilarious about it is that this just shows you how inherently lazy stand-up comedians are. From what we've been able to pass so far, from what we've been able to be gleaned, you know, it's not a lot of details, but everything's a bit hush-hushy. But, you know, comics, they love to fucking talk. They love, you know, if they complain about people like myself doing streams and shit, comics are the worst, right? They can't keep secrets. They love to gossip. So we just hear little bits. From the bits that we've heard so far about Rogan's club, it's incredibly well organized. It's one of the best clubs in the world in terms of facilities and shit. The sound, audio visual, all the little details, people creaming themselves over the little stool they put behind the curtain so that you can gather your thoughts. The green room is sick. You got anything you need. There's no flipping hangers on in the back in the green room. Everything's just done, you know, top of the line. Another thing we've heard is that it pays well. Allegedly, Rogan pays really well. We don't know what the rate is, how he judges it, but people are saying that he pays extremely well to the point where people are saying that some people are getting overpaid, right? That's what kind of vibe that he's on. And obviously, he's Joe Rogan, and it's Joe Rogan's comedy club. It's going to end up being probably rated one of the best comedy clubs in the world, right? Soon, if it's not already on the way. And you imagine all the clout you get from performing there. All those things in mind, these fucking comedians are still lazy enough to sometimes not show up to a gig and to sometimes go on flipping benders before they go and do one. Imagine that. Imagine you're a stand-up comedian. You have Joe Rogan's sort of like friendship in your pocket, or you're friends with him just in general. You get along to the point where he likes you. He might invite you on a pod. He thinks you're funny. He might book you at his club, and you don't turn up on time. You don't turn up on time, right? Or if you do turn up, you're high. You're just you're on a fucking you're on a come down from a 2-day bender or something. Just imagine. That shows you everything that's inherently wrong with most of these stand-ups out there. And again, it's fairly okay if they had this, you know, this kind of like this sort of like laissez-faire, quasi rock star sort of persona where they're like, you know what, this is what we do, right? We're comics, we live this sort of life on the edge, blah blah blah. But it's most of these guys with podcasts, they like to make it seem like because they do a pod or because they make some content online, that it somehow constitutes as them like working on a building site. It's just bizarre that they think like creating content, and most of these guys aren't editing it, they're not clipping it up themselves, they don't design flyers, they don't design thumbnails, they're not editing anything, like zero. They're just sitting in front of a camera, someone's doing everything else for them, and they think it's the hardest job in the world. Well, the easiest job in the world, I think, is doing that shit, especially if you're really good at it. It should become autopilot, and they still can't do it. They still fuck it up. So I thought that was a hilarious insight, that people are legitimately, you know, flaking on their set at flipping Rogan's. Crazy. It continues. Rogan revealed that these past couple of months of comedy club ownership have made him sympathetic to the gatekeepers at whom he thumbed his nose at when the comedy store first opened. Rogan said, "There are so many factors dealing with your livelihood if you're a club owner. People get too drunk, they're crazy, they do stuff, they do this, they do that, they wreck the hotel room, and you're constantly like putting out fires." Imagine. So from what I've obviously been gleaning as well, I think this is a standard thing. He invites people down, and then I guess he's got some sort of deal with a local hotel. And essentially, you just a plug and play. They got everything set up for you, so you just turn up there as a comedian. They already have the openers for you who are in-house. They're gonna bring in. They set you up a place to stay, and you know you kind of get your freak on. So people are doing this. They're turning up late. They're turning up drunk. They're turning up high. They're on a come down, and they're also trashing hotel rooms at Rogan's, you know, club is flipping booking for them. You couldn't make this up. It continues. At the start of the Comedy Mothership's opening night back in March, Rogan celebrated the christening of the Pirate Radio Playhouse by loudly declaring, "I'm drunk and the mushrooms are in my club. This is the highest I've ever been on stage." Now there's nothing that stresses Rogan out more than the comics showing up for a set, the same set that he was opening night. 2 months later, the hangover finally hit him. So the day-to-day haggles of running a club is not all it's cracked up to be. Color me surprised. But also, it's just hilarious to see that most of these guys are as lazy as we imagined they would be. Most of them. Especially the ones who have been given every advantage under the sun. They're as lazy as each other, essentially. Which also explains why the ones that become successful so quickly do become successful so quickly. Because if you're able to put in a minute level of effort above what the regular person does, you're going to get pretty far. If you can legitimately write as much as possible, legitimately be open to criticism, legitimately, you know, take notes from other comics or whatnot and be okay with it, maybe put out some content that maybe doesn't go well, but just for the sake of flipping market research, go into as many spots as possible, blah 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 blah, you'll probably get really far. Obviously, you got to be really funny, you got to have good stage presence, blah, we know all that stuff, but if you just insert a trinkling, a little flipping salt-based sprinkle of hard work, you're going to get far, so far in this game, because the majority of these guys are lazy as fuck. Lazy as fuck, and that obviously has been proven by that article. Honestly, when I read it, I was like, what? People are turning up late or missing or flaking on their set at the Comedy Mothership. You got Brendan over there crying, just sitting by the phone hoping Daddy Rogan calls him, and then you got these other guys just not showing up, or showing up drunk and high and stuff. Like, god damn it, man, this is annoying, isn't it? It's annoying. Anyways, moving on from that one, we got this quick topic I wanted to mention regarding DJ AKADEMIKS. DJ AKADEMIKS looks like he's going down a very interesting path. I'm not going to say bad. I'm not going to say destructive. I'm not going to say self-sabotaging, whatever, because those are easy things to throw out there. I'm always interested in just viewing stuff from afar, especially because sometimes, you know, there is no such thing as self-sabotage. Sometimes you just do dumb shit because you want to do dumb shit, and then you just have to kind of, you know, pick up the pieces when it happens, or maybe not. So DJ AKADEMIKS is doing this thing now where he started this, I guess the idea behind it is to have his own kind of network under the DJ AKADEMIKS umbrella. So he'll have different shows, different podcasts and whatnot hosted there. And one of the first podcasts that he has featured on there, guess who it's with? You guessed it, CELINA Powell. Selina Powell's one of the first people to have a guest show on there alongside her co-host. I'm not too sure what the person's name is, but the show's called Toxic Twins. And it's episode 1 and it's titled How I Survived Prison and Why I Exposed Little Meech. The same show premise that essentially got No Jumper kind of blacklisted within kind of hip hop black culture over there in the West Coast. I think so. That's my theory anyway, because as it goes, if you remember your lore about Selina Powell, she was closely associated with No Jumper. She was hanging with them a lot. She would jump in on shows here and there. And then eventually they ended up giving Selina Powell, and I forgot the other girl's name, but they ended up giving the other girl and Selina Powell a show. And then I think in the process of maybe just in a stretch of 4 shows, it got cancelled within 4 shows. And in that process of 4, I think they outed like 17 people or some shit, right? Like everyone from like Snoop Dogg to like random basketball players. And obviously being West Coast and stuff, a lot of those people were very upset, very mad. I think they might have even exposed something about Odell Beckham or something about him getting shitted on or something. I don't know, something mad. But essentially stuff that if you're an owner of a hip hop or black media kind of platform, you're going to have to mind your P's and Q's, because if you upset the wrong people, that's you could put, especially if you want to navigate and have, in the industry, you want to have interviews with people, which is what No Jumper's kind of built on, having interviews with artists and guests and stuff and whatever it may be. So as soon as that happened, everyone kind of, I felt like, distanced themselves from No Jumper. It was only until, ironically enough, when Adam kind of brought on AD, T-Rail and all those guys, that suddenly then all the kind of LA hip-hop type people who are based over there were more welcoming to come on the show or to come on the platform. Guys like Wiz Khalifa, even Mozzie, those people I don't think wouldn't have ever come on No Jumper if it wasn't for like AD and Terrell and that whole crew of guys. So having Selina Powell on your platform is legitimately, as the title of the show goes, very toxic and could essentially, ruin relationships that you don't even know you had the potential of having or whatever it may be. But, Academics is going to do what Academics is going to do. So let's watch the first couple of minutes of this show and see what the vibe is saying. But big up Selina Powell and this show already. How I Survived Prison and why I Exposed Little Meech. Pilot episode.
7. Ready? 6. Hold on, you gotta point that
the what?
to your mouth. Yeah, you know how to suck dick.
Yeah.
5.
Oh, you know that, baby.
4, 3.
Yuck.
2.
Babies, welcome to the Toxic Twins podcast. Bitch. We have a fucking podcast.
I know, and I'm so excited for
This is our first fucking episode.
I'm so excited.
Are you?
Yes. Let's talk about where the fuck have you been? Because you started off with your own podcast and you just disappeared.
I only disappeared because I went to fucking jail. Then I went to prison. And then I was in a fucking halfway house.
How the fuck was that? Like, it's crazy. You go like...
Honestly, prison wasn't that bad. I had 2 girlfriends. I was getting fucked. I had the time of my life
What do
there.
you mean you were getting fucked?
Yeah, I was getting fucked.
How?
Dude, but they made a strap on with like socks and like, what's that thing that they wrap it from like the kitchen?
Cling film.
Saran wrap. Yeah, they had a fucking dildo with it. And I was sneaking
You
to
were
her.
getting fucked with socks and... Yo, what's wrong with you?
You already know, baby. I'm not doing no fucking 2 years without getting sex. Are you dumb? Like, I went in there, I was like, it's either I'm going to fuck the guards or I'm going to fuck the inmates. And the inmates came first. So I was like, what's good? Yo, I really thought I was going to have a cell phone and everything in prison. I thought I was going to be on live every day, still running my OnlyFans.
Is that
and it
whose
just didn't
name
happen.
you got tattooed on your hand?
Yeah, Joyce. You know,
So
the
touch
fact that
her?
you remember that?
I
Yeah.
just remember you calling me and telling me, like, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, what do you mean you have a
I
girlfriend?
had 2. I had,
And she
they're
was like,
both
yeah,
little.
she's in here for, like, murder. I'm like, yo, what? Like, you just don't learn. You go from, like...
Yeah, I like, I'm not gonna get into that, what I like, but, I definitely like the violence, but, yeah.
So that's 2 minutes in. That's 2 minutes into this podcast. 2 minutes. 2 minutes in. An absolute mess. But the beauty about podcasting and the beauty about content creation out there, there's something for everybody. So in the same way, if you're out there and you want to see, channels about gangsters and how they've rehabilitated their lives. If you want to see channels about, you know, sex workers, you can see that. If you want to see channels about kids that flipping buy vinyl and listen to albums in full and sit down there and dissect the albums and whatnot, you can watch that. People that live stream games and stuff. There's always something out there for somebody, right? So this is definitely going to find this audience. Already we're looking at how much the views are. 20,000 views, and it's only 3 hours, which is pretty decent. The like ratio thing isn't the greatest, right? 1,300 down votes to 626 up votes. So clearly people don't like the sound of what they're hearing, but the views and stuff will definitely propel it. The thing that I'm thinking about is, why do we think AKADEMIKS is doing this? Why is DJ AKADEMIKS doing this? Because on paper, because he talks about it a lot, it's the one thing he kind of always puts his hat on. You know, I'm rich, I've got money, I'm rich, I've got money, I'm rich, I've got money, which he clearly has, and he's very successful. If he is as rich as he says he is, and I think he is, personally, I don't think he's lying. You know, he's got a lot of revenue streams. You know, just the fact that he runs a very popular Instagram page, just from what I know from working in, you know, startups and stuff, you can easily pay people to post on one square of their Instagram feed anywhere from, like, you know, £5 to fucking 50,000. So I'm sure he's making a decent amount of money off of his Instagram alone. Then you add in all the streaming. Then you add in the Twitch. No, the Twitch obviously not. The AdSense. You add in the sponsors. He's got a podcast with Spotify. He's got an actual contract with them, I'm assuming. So that's even upfront money, or it's money, you know, broken down and you get it as a salary, or it's given to you quarterly. He just signed a deal with Rumble. So there's loads of revenue streams for AKADEMIKS. If that's the case, the easy thing to say, oh, he's doing it for the money, it doesn't make sense, because he's got many revenue streams already. So why would he be doing this? Unless this is part of the deal of, like, Rumble. Maybe this is what he was doing. Maybe this is the whole game. When he signed with Rumble, part of why he wanted to kind of go on there, because he wanted a platform that he could be kind of unfiltered with, the kind of view that he was going to bring on a Selena Powell type person on the show, who's a little bit nuts and all over the place and going to expose people. Maybe that's the thing. I'm not really too sure, but I think if you're AKADEMIKS, personally for me, he seems like somebody that's desperate for the acceptance or the acknowledgement from the hip-hop industry. As much as he kind of rags on them, the kind of, you know, the what would you call them, the media elites or the gatekeepers or whatever else their term they're called, there's still, I feel like, part of him that wants to be accepted, especially amongst the artists. You see how he acts now, you know, with flipping, you know, NBA Youngboy and stuff, and how his tone has somewhat changed about, you know, how he's basically addressing NBA Youngboy v some other people. So there's clearly a certain type of artist, maybe a certain age, a certain caliber of people that he wants to be associated with. And when it comes to the media guys, there's definitely a group of guys and girls that he would like to be pally with or be in the same room with and be cool with. If that's the case, you just can't be having someone like Selena Powell around. Maybe you keep them in the background, you know, like other people are, because clearly a lot of people in the industry fuck with her, because a lot of people in the industry have fucked her. But you can't be, you know, collaborating with her in this type of way, because it's going to end up doing some irreversible damage to your other relationships. Some relationships that you don't even know you had the possibility of having. So it can't be money. It's got to be clout. And if it is clout, it's a dangerous game, because most likely than not, just the association with this woman will end up getting the guy in trouble. And we've seen what guys do with women. We've seen how crazy and unhinged they get. You know, many people have died off of the back of arguing about girls. And, you know, I don't know. Selena Powell seems like the kind of person who enjoys the chaos, enjoys the drama. Maybe I could enjoy it too, but this will probably end up in tears. But that's not such a bad thing. That's all I'm saying. It's all entertainment. But I'm just thinking, if I was Ak and I had all of his revenue streams and income streams, I wouldn't be doing this. There's no need to do this, really. It's unnecessary. But then again, it shows the ceiling that most content creators has. And maybe this is a really strange thing to say, but it also highlights why so many content creators are jumping into boxing now. There's nothing else to do, really, after you reach a certain point. If you're in it for the clout, you're in it for that. Because some people, I'd imagine, after a certain point, you know, once you're making, like, there's a bad thing, it's a weird thing to say, but I'd imagine, personally, I haven't done it yet, but I'd imagine, once you're earning 10 grand, there's no real difference between earning 10 grand a month and earning 100 grand a month. you're basically doing the same type of thing. I'd imagine. Maybe some people go crazy, but I'd imagine your lifestyle is probably about the same when it comes to 10 and 10 and 100,000. If that's the case, why not start boxing? Because at least that lets you do something different. It's a whole different side of content. It might open up different avenues of income streams, different avenues in terms of a career. That could be a thing as well going forward, 100%. But I don't know. It could be that. Or it just could be just boredom. Or it just could be clout. And I'm kind of, what do you call it? I'm thinking about it too deep. It could just be the clout drug. Maybe there isn't something, maybe even money isn't enough for some people. Maybe the fact that you're financially secure and you have the respect of some people in your industry isn't enough. Maybe the actual need for clout is actually way more appealing and addictive than money is. Or even, you know, fucking chicks. If you're that kind of guy. Maybe that's the thing. Clout is the one. Because once you get the clout, you get the clout. It's forever. It's everlasting. It's kind of stamped yourself up for it. Who knows? But yeah, mad occasion. Surprised to see this turn from him. It's probably going to end in tears, but hey, I'm here for the lows. I'm here for the lows. That's what I'm here for. Nothing else and nothing else beside that. Moving on from that, also, another bit of flipping academics news. He's, you know, like an idiot, decided to get himself involved in the Little Dirk and NBA Youngboy beef. It's way too complicated and too layered to get in detail with and describe, but there's many YouTube videos out there kind of rounding up the beef. So if you want to check it out, please do. Just YouTube search Little Dirk, NBA Youngboy beef, and you'll find loads of cool documentaries that kind of break it down. But essentially, it's a real one. Many people on either side of the camps have died, most notably, of course, King Vaughn. And it's definitely a beef that's going to be, it feels like long lasting at this point. With these kind of guys, once blood is spilt, there is no kind of putting that genie back in the bottle. No way, shape or form. There is no resolution, no nothing. They're going to be warring until, you know, either party passes away or until they're old. It just is what it is. And for some reason, Academics wanted to get himself involved in this and insert himself in the situation by kind of antagonizing things. He appeared on some random stream and basically said, yeah, the beef between NBA Youngboy and Lil Durk is kind of off, it's cancelled. They've made up or something. And he obviously said it in a sarcastic kind of academics way, but still, it's just an unnecessary thing to say, especially considering how real this beef is. It's not some like hip-hop beef, like on a wax beef sort of thing. This is actually real stuff happening in the streets. People are actually losing their lives. People's lives are in danger. It's not the most you know, harmless thing out there. It definitely will cause people grievous bodily harm. He did so, and then NBA Youngboy went on a bit of a rant online, you know, getting at him and basically saying, hey, we're not cool anymore, because for a period of time, Academics was very cool with NBA Youngboy. They used to speak quite a lot in the background in the scene. I think that there's the legend is he's recorded a 6-hour podcast or something with NBA Youngboy, who said to never release it until he dies or something, whatever. You know, and NBA Youngboy is notoriously very, very media shy, very, very anti-media, anti-industry. So for him to have a relationship with Ak is a big thing. For some reason, Academics took that for granted, or he basically assumed because they speak on the phone about industry stuff or about music that they're somehow friends. He got too comfortable, said what he said. NBA Youngboy went off. And I guess Ak was trying to, like, you know, play it off like it wasn't a big deal. And at the same time he was streaming, NBA Youngboy went live and said the following. This video is fucking hilarious because he's trying to act cool about it, but you can tell Ak is nervous. In my opinion, anyway. You can tell he's a bit nervous about this. Let's play the video.
Bitch, I know I ain't worried about no numbers, nigga. Bitch ass nigga, let's play lit bank, take lit bank. Yo stupid drunk face ass. That's all you like to do, bitch, is to get drunk and talk shit. That was gonna get you fucked up, nigga. Off the flap.
Yo, I swear Youngboy's trolling me.
That was the wrong one.
He's not trolling you, brother. He said quite clearly, if you keep on fucking around and running your mouth, I can even understand the accent, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Your mouth is gonna end up getting you in trouble. And that's legitimately the truth.
Another one called Thug on that bitch. Let me see.
Yo, chat, I swear Youngboy's trolling me.
I swear he's not.
You know why he's trolling me? Because Youngboy's been on the phone and be like, man, I just like to watch you when you popping your shit. Like,
How can you not understand somebody can like you one day, especially a goon? How can you not understand goons are temperamental and one day they can wake up and think fuck you and fuck everything you stand for?
He literally said that. So, I don't care what.
Anyway, let's not play that. But yeah, you get the gist, right? The issue that I've always kind of had with Akon on this sort of thing, I don't mind the guy. I think he's really entertaining and shit. And he's clearly carved a kind of path for him that many other people have followed behind him. And essentially, you know, single-handedly changed hip-hop media forever, for the good and for the bad. But generally, I think for the good. The thing that's always annoyed me about him has been him mostly as a person. I'm not really too bothered about his opinions on music because, you know, you look at the guy, he's not exactly somebody that you would go to for good musical taste. You know, I wouldn't think so. Even though his name is DJ AKADEMIKS, he doesn't really strike me as somebody who has great taste in music. But you go to him for the news, the fuck shit, and whatever it may be. But I don't understand why, as a person, he's kind of like weird to kind of get your head around. Especially when you think about the whole notion of, oh, I'm not from the streets, I'm just a journalist. Cool. Then why do you keep like barking at these rappers when they get in the beef with you like you're gonna do something? Whether it's Lil Baby or Freddie Gibbs and stuff, he'll start shouting and screaming and talking real tough on the microphone. And the thing that's really annoying about it is that he knows that he doesn't go outside like that. He knows that he stays his ass indoors and doesn't really go to the places where all these guys are at to be, you know, ever have, you know, to ever be in some kind of level of danger. He knows that. So for the comfortability of his own home, he could just keep barking, which I don't like. I think if you're going to stand up to these rappers and be like, hey, because I think he's got a point. Some of these rappers do take the piss, especially when it comes to media. They feel like everything revolves around them. It kind of does, but they kind of, you know, they take it a little bit too literally. And they need to kind of allow him to do his job and report the stuff he reports without getting butthurt. That should be the name of the game. Or without wanting to put like hands on him and shit or whatever. That's not necessary. But he also has to understand that you just can't be talking to anybody any way you want just because you have money and because you're kind of hidden away in your home. That makes you look like a lame. So if you're going to do the whole, like, let me shout at you from the comfort of my behind my computer, do that, own it. But then you can't have both things. You can't be the, I'm going to shout back and stand up for myself and not be bullied, but then I'm also not going to go outside. Like, that's just really strange. To face your bully, you have to kind of face them. You can't just be shouting at them from behind the screen. And I think ever since that whole Blueface thing went down, when he essentially turned down the fade from Blueface and was kind of copping please, but then he went to fight Lil Baby, and then this, and then not really, and then the Rory and Morse, I think this guy's like, all of those beefs, he probably has all the reason to beef with them, especially the Rory and Morse stuff. If the story about Rory going to his house and putting the letter through his post box is true, he's got every reason to be, you know, fuck Rory to life. But at a certain point, you just have to chill and stop and just kind of, you know, you got the W, you won, well done. You ended his engagement, you embarrassed him, you done, you danced on his grave and shit, you enjoy your friends, cool. You just keep going and going, knowing full well you're not going to come outside. It's just a bit lame. And then on top of that, the other thing, the hard on Fots thing. How can you be hard on Fots when essentially you wife them? No, again, no shame. Everyone's got their flipping taste. Everyone's got their things they're into. But how can you be hard on Fots when you wife them? It's just weird. Especially the fact that he's wifing the ones who are like savages. He's wifing the ones who are like, they know how to run guys' pockets. These girls are pros. I mean, they've chewed up and spat out many mightier men than AKADEMIKS. And he feels that he can kind of wrangle them and sort of like tame them some way. So it's never going to happen. So that's the only thing that's kind of a little bit confusing and annoying about the guy. But overall, I'm eager to see it play out in real time. Personally, eager to see it play out in real time because from my point of view, or from where I sit, he seems to be in a fairly comfortable position, but he seems to be purposely throwing himself into the volcano for no reason. You're making a lot of money streaming. You've got a deal with Rumble. You've got a podcast deal with Spotify. You've got one of the biggest hip-hop platforms on social media. Why are you associating with Selena Powell? And why are you inserting yourself into real rap and street beef between NBA Youngboy and Lil Durk? Why are you doing that? Just report the news, say something hot or nah, whatever, you know, post music videos, do the thing that you always used to do. All this other shit is not the lick. But maybe it is, especially from an entertainment point of view. Maybe we just sit here and watch it and I stop complaining about things because you know what? Entertainment is entertainment, blood clot. Moving on from that one, the quick one to talk about is this regarding Joey Diaz. Joey Diaz has announced recently on his podcast, Uncle Joey's Joint, episode number 242, that the podcast is now going to be going fully audio. Who would have guessed that, eh? Joey Diaz's podcast is going fully audio. No more video content from Joey Diaz. The podcast is going to go full audio. To personally speaking, just from my point of view, having obviously a podcast and live streaming myself, and obviously having a Patreon, sign up to my Patreon, link down below. I've noticed, and I have to be honest about it, I've noticed when I used to first record my podcast, I noticed for whatever reason that I think the quality is way better when it's just audio. There's something about knowing that no one's watching what you and just concentrating on the words you say and kind of constructing and putting together a show that I think it just flows way better. Just audio. It flows way, way better. But unfortunately, in the content creation game we're at the moment, video is king because you can just clip it into many different formats and many different platforms and you can just do more with it as opposed to just audio. That's the only issue. Nowadays, you're kind of limiting yourself in how much content you can do on top of that. So that's the only issue that he's probably going to have with this. But I feel like, you know, as an older dude, it makes complete sense why he's doing this, to be honest. But let's play the clip anyway of Joey Diaz explaining why he's changing tact and deciding to go audio only with his podcast.
I'm going to get out there and do some more podcasts the next week. And as you see today, we're doing audio only. You know, we want to try something fucking new here. We're a little burnt out with the YouTube thing. I'm sick of looking at me. You're sick of looking at me, you know. So we're going to do different things here. Listen, I always appreciated, when I started the podcast, I didn't know anything about YouTube. We didn't do anything with YouTube. I really appreciated podcasting for one fucking reason. I'll tell you what the truth is. I appreciated that it made us listen again. I always looked at those pictures from the 50s and the 40s when you see a family sitting around a radio, listening to the Green Hornet or War of the Worlds with whatever, or whatever fucking, you know, show they were watching, Sergeant Bilko. There was all these radio pictures when I was a kid, and I would watch that and go, wow, that seems so cool. It seems kind of faggy, but at the same time, it seems kind of cool. Like when you look at it, that you just listened. No visual, you just sat there with one ear towards the thing. You know, when I was growing up and you got an AM radio, you didn't get speakers with it. You got a cord with just one plug. And you had to sit there with that one fucking, I still remember being in the 4th grade with one of those radios that had the waves that you get China and shit like that, had like 18 levels. That's the only fucking thing I ever won in a raffle. In the 4th grade, I run a fucking radio, like a CB, and everything. What's those things? Hey, Trucker 19, a CB radio, everything in there. I could talk to truck drivers at night and get molested when in the 4th grade. It was fucking crazy.
Anyway, you get the gist. He's gone off a bit of a tangent. But anyway, answering what's the question someone said in the chat. I've never heard Jared Mellerick. I've never had a podcast without video. I've only seen podcasts on YouTube. I don't even know where to hear podcasts. See, that's the issue though. Originally, listening to flipping podcasts would be only audio. Like most of the main places that I used to listen to podcasts audio wise were Apple Podcasts app, obviously when you're using your iPhone and shit. There's other third party apps you can use as well, like Overcast, obviously podcasts on Spotify, but most of the time it was always through Apple Podcasts is where I found most of mine. And then there was a time when I used to search on Libsyn, but usually it's on Apple Podcasts. And over time it felt like it started off with audio, then it evolved into flipping video. And now video podcasts are like a thing where some people don't even have an audio element, they just have a video element and that's it, which is obviously whatever it may be. But I feel like from a content creation point of view, if you're making it, I generally do think that you do get a better show, or you're able to kind of put on a better show, perform a little bit better, provide better entertainment by just filming or recording something audio only. There is something quite intimate, something quite, I don't know how to call it. It's kind of hands-on. You can have notes, you can shuffle through. I don't know, it just feels a little bit more radio broadcasty type. I don't know, there's something about it, recording audio only. I've noticed it with the stuff that I record on Patreon. I feel like it has a far better flow than the things that I record when I stream on live, especially because on live you're having to kind of be aware that you're putting on a live quote unquote show. You can't have too many pauses and stuff. You kind of have to just keep going and going. Whereas when you're recording on audio, you can take things a bit slower. You can do like your NPR voice and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? You can kind of go with that sort of vibe. But with Joey Diaz specifically in this point, I get it. Because for him, it's quite clear that he's kind of like, you know, in a whole different space. Ever since he moved to New Jersey, ever since he left LA and all the cocksuckers over there and stuff, he's clearly in a different space. He's loving life. He's enjoying being with his family and friends and just taking stuff easy. He's got a popping Patreon that's doing decent bits. His YouTube's still doing bits for him as well. He can do a show here and there if he wants to, or go on a run and talk if he needs a quick bag. The book is probably going to do him very well if it gets optioned out for something like a TV series or a movie, or he gets to do another book, or he gets to do more books, right? All those things are definitely in the pipeline or definitely in the avenue. So it makes sense that he's maybe taking his foot off the pedal a little bit when it comes to video podcasting. It makes sense. And also maybe just self-preservation point of view. If you do want to go forward and do other things, maybe removing yourself video-wise and kind of having all that stuff that you said crazy before be a little bit more in the past, so there's not much recent stuff of you saying nutty stuff, because for the most part on Uncle Joey's joint, he doesn't really say any crazy things really, you know? To be honest, he's kind of mellow on his own podcast now than he was on the Church of What's Happening now. So this makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I'm rooting for him. I've got a lot of time for Joey Diaz. Like I said, he's got me through a lot of tough times, and most of my kind of podcasting experience and listening has been during my hell days of working in retail, working in bars and stuff, working in stock rooms, you know, working in pop-up shop and art fairs, like horrible things, right? Stuff that I just don't want to remember. And part of the reason why I love podcasts is because they let you actually kind of, you know, the day kind of went by super quickly listening to them in the back, having one earbud in and shit, and kind of giggling to yourself at all these guys that you kind of felt like you knew. So they kind of guided you through, and of course along the way they kind of, you dropped some pearls and so of wisdom here and there. So I'm liking this evolution, and it's also nice to see, this is weird to say that, it's also nice to see this, a comedian who's not hanging on for dear life, or a podcaster or a content creator, because it feels like everybody else, they're just never going to let it go. I look at someone like a Dark Side Phil, a bad example, but a streamer like that's always online begging. There's no exit plan. He's been involved in live streaming gaming for like 15 plus years. He should be a multi-millionaire by now. There should be a retirement plan by now, but he's just doing the same thing every single day. And I feel like part of it is obviously, you know, being addicted to the begging for tips and shit online, but also part of it is that it gives you a purpose. You got something to do. You wake up every day and you stream games. You wake up every day and you talk about people and shit. That's, you know, it gives you something to do, but surely there should be more to life than just doing the same thing every day until the day that you die. And I feel like, you know, Joey Diaz has found those interests. He's kind of, you know, reconnected with his family, found some new stuff he's kind of interested in, he wants to do, and he's pursuing it. And maybe podcasting and talking about, you know, I don't know, jumping through people's windows and stuff isn't probably the best thing anymore at this stage of his life. So it makes complete sense for me personally. But yeah, big up Joey Diaz. Big up Joey Diaz. What are people saying here? The chat to me. What are you saying? What are you saying in the chat? The thing about Bill Burr and Red Band argued about. Oh yeah, true. Yeah, big up Hando. Big up. True. I've never been to Apple Store. You should check it out, Jared Miller. It's a fantastic place. Uja says it's nice connecting to my car Bluetooth and just listening audio. You have a good driving voice, AZ. Big up. Thank you, Uche. You're amazing. Yeah. I think I've been in many cars with other friends, because clearly I don't drive because I'm a Londoner, right? We don't have driving licenses here. I have a fucking pedal bike, right? That's what I do. I fucking pedal and shit. But having been in cars with my friends, I've had many car rides where we've been busting up laughing, listening to old podcasts and shit. So it's definitely a thing that people do. And I think a lot of people, which is why radio is still king, because a lot of kind of cars come inbuilt with radio and shit. And when you're on drives and stuff, sometimes you want to just listen to programming that's kind of done for you. You don't want to be changing channels, so you just want to leave something on and make sure that it sounds kind of good when you're in there. So it makes complete sense. That's why I can't wait until I drive, actually. I'm looking forward to that, man. Go on long rides, just be like listening to fucking Perfume Nationalist, 7-hour podcast on fucking Ayn Rand, right? Just driving around listening to fucking Red Scare on blast in my little flipping Nissan. Listen to Red Scare in my little Nissan. It'll be sick. But yeah, I'm on that. But yeah, big up the chat. I appreciate all of you guys, man. Moving on from that one, we've got probably an interesting clip here, courtesy of Bert Kreischer. Every day sometimes, or every time I see content from Bert Kreischer, I thank the heavens more and more that I'm a regular schmegular civilian. a regular civilian who doesn't get to laugh too much, a regular civilian that's not involved in the business of comedy, because, you know, as Bert Kreischer famously said on Something's Burning with that guy KFC and somebody else, he said, oh, you know, regular people don't laugh that much because they're not involved in the business of comedy. You don't get to laugh day to day or something nonsense like that. You know Bert, innit? Yeah, every time I see content regarding Bert Kreischer, it reminds me every single day why sometimes being a regular schmegular guy, civilian, who just wants to, you know, work a job, make some money, buy some beers, hang out with their friends, chill out with their family, and doesn't constantly feel the need to, you know, talk about their flipping daughter's periods and take their t-shirt off for laughs and giggles at 50, nearly 60 years of age. I think it's quite good. Not too bad, honestly. There's nothing really you look at Bert Kreischer and say, hey, you want from his life apart from the money. But if the money has to come with taking off your t-shirt, you know, on stage every single night, then probably the money's not worth it, to be honest. And this latest clip is an example of why maybe being a regular schmegular guy is pretty cool. Courtesy of Bert Kreischer's Twitter. It says, join me and Bigger Jackson for a tour. Where they're touring somewhere? Let me just pause before I read the flipping caption. At the Red Rocks on October 4th, it says, so this is a advert for tickets for his flipping new show that he's doing, right? And he's decided to bear it all. It wasn't enough taking off his t-shirt, so he decided to do a skit where he's sitting on a toilet seat, standing up pissing.
Hey guys, I'm super excited.
Yeah, standing up pissing and stuff. And I don't know, will I get taken down for showing this on my flipping stream? I'm not too sure, but essentially the video, it's him superimposed 3 times. One person shitting, one person pissing with their top off, one person pissing with their no top off and shit. And it's just, yeah, it's mad. It's a bit mad. Let's play the video again.
Excited to announce Red Rocks. Tell them about it. This is our 3rd time at Red Rocks, and we're calling it Triplet. For 3. It's happening October 4th. Tell them where they can get tickets.
Anyway, you get the gist, right? The tickets are going to be, you know, listed on there, all the dates, him looking like he's shitting and pissing and that he's straining and stuff. And that's the funny, I guess that's the humor. That's the humor in the entire thing. And then you look at it and you think to yourself, like, Bert Kreischer, right? Age. How old is Bert Kreischer? 50 years old. 50 years of age. And allegedly, he's part of the 1,000 comics out there. There's only 1,000 of them, according to Joe Rogan. Only 1,000 of them that you should bother thinking about. And he's one of the hallowed 1,000. He's 50. 50 years of age, right? And this is the flipping comedy that he's doing. Oh, where is it? Where is it? It doesn't matter. You saw the comedy. 50 years of age. 50 years of age. I would be embarrassed, personally. If that was me, I would be embarrassed. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. What do they say here? It's like Burke thinks us peasants are too busy working in the manager to laugh. Exactly. Men sitting on the toilet look so vulnerable. Natasha Eddie D says, I haven't seen or listened to Jerry since it stopped live streaming on Ustream. Wow. There's a lot of people that's the thing that proves Joe Rogan is an absolute animal, though, because I remember the Ustream days, I remember the YouTube days, and obviously the Spotify days. He's probably lost a big chunk of fans moving from YouTube to Spotify, but it hasn't made a dent, as Crystalia would say. That shows you how big he is, because regular people, if they move, like I think a good example is like Call Her Daddy. When Core Daddy, those 2 girls split up, they lost a huge chunk of their fan base because essentially one half went with the girl with the black hair, the other one went with the blonde. And then of course when they went on Spotify and they signed an exclusive deal, they lost a bunch of fans also, to the point now where the show's completely different to what it was when it first started. And it can negatively impact the show. And I'm sure the listenership isn't as high as it was, but you know, you get the upfront money. So taking those deals is a big risk, but sometimes if you trust yourself, it doesn't actually matter. Tashki saying Ustream. Oh, Ustream was before Twitch. Natashki. It was basically the precursor of Twitch. Ustream, similar sort of site, where people could basically live stream their shows. You know, for lack of a better term. Moving on from that one, we've got this news here courtesy of Glenn Greenwald. Thoughts and feelings go out to Glenn Greenwald, and prayers and healing to all his family, because this is quite terrible news that I saw on social. It says here, with most profound sadness is that I announce the passing away of my husband, David Miranda Rio. He would have been 38 tomorrow, which is, Jesus, day before his birthday, you know, fucking hell. His death early this morning came after a 9-month battle in the ICU. He died in full peace, surrounded by our children, family members, and friends. So, unfortunately, Glenn Greenwald's husband, David Miranda Rio, the guy that he lives with over there in Brazil, I think most of you are familiar with, unfortunately passed away. Absolutely tragic news here. It continues, it says, David's life was extraordinary in many ways. His mother died when he was 5, leaving him an orphan in Jairzinho, but a beautiful and compassionate neighbor, Donna Elena, took him in despite having 4 children of her own and deep poverty, becoming his mum, and gave him a chance for a new life. That gave David the chance to feel his new life potential in society that often suffocates it. He was the key of the Snowden story, became the first gay man to be elected in Rio's City Council and then the Federal Congress of 32. He inspired so many of his biography, passion, and a force for life. Because of how David grew up, there were many assumptions made by those who didn't know him. Anyone who did will tell you that there was nobody with a stronger will of life or life force. He was proud that he would be named by Time our next generation leaders. But by far David's biggest dreams that have given him the greatest pride and purpose was being a father. He was the most dedicated and loving parent. He taught me how to be a father, and our truly excellent, exceptional boys with their own difficult start in life is this greatest legacy. When David arrived at the hospital last August the 6th, I was told that there was a little chance he would survive the week. I heard the same 3 times since. He refused in classic David style. The last 4 months gave our family the most beautiful moments together. David was the singular, strongest, most passionate, most compassionate man I've known. Nobody had the bad word for him. I can't describe the loss and pain. I'll do my best to honor his legacy, our children and our NGOs. And I know so many will celebrate him and his impact. Obrigado, Presidente. Jesus, even the president of fucking Brazil made tribute to fucking, Glenn Greenwald's husband. So yeah, R.I.P. man, R.I.P. to the guy. Absolute tragedy. Can't imagine what they're going through, especially having loads of young kids. You know, it's probably a madness, to be honest. I can't even imagine what they're going through, to be fair. So R.I.P. to David Miranda, and thoughts and feelings and strength and blessings and prayer and healing to Glenn Greenwald, man. Troubling times. Moving on from that one, more bad news for Tory Lanez. Unfortunately, Tory Lanez, more bad news. Tory Lanez denied a new trial after conviction for the Megan Thee Stallion shooting. Lanez had called his December trial and guilty verdict a miscarriage of justice, but Los Angeles judge did not buy it. The star now heads for sentencing, and they're saying sentencing is going to happen usually sometime around June. And he's facing up to 22 years, which is nuts. He probably won't, I'm not going to say that, won't get that, because I feel like they want to make an example out of him. He probably will get that, unfortunately. It's a real tragic way to kind of end this story. And of course, there's more information here, courtesy of Rolling Stone, because they've been really on the tilt to flipping bury him and write some really scathing reports about Tory Lanez. So let's see what they say here. It says Tory Lanez's request for a new trial was denied on Tuesday, according to City News Services. The rapper now awaits sentencing of being found guilty of December shooting of Megan Thee Stallion. Lanez, whose real legal name is Daystar Peterson, and his legal team had indicated for several months after the guilty verdict that they'll be filing for a new trial, officially filing for the motion on March 29th. The hearing for the new trial motion had been punted many times before finally getting underway at Los Angeles on Monday, with Judge David Hereford issuing the ruling on Tuesday. Peterson will be sentenced on June 13th per report of Megan Cuniff, who's now been known as Megan the Reporter because she's, you know, been reporting favorably for Megan Thee Stallion on this issue. It continues, says, Los Angeles Times reporter James Quealy tweeted during the hearing on Tuesday that Peterson's legal team took an aggressive step and motioned to disqualify Hereford from the case, though Hereford still issued his ruling against the retrial. Attorney Joe Bays and Lane's team did file a motion to disqualify Hereford. I don't know on what grounds. So they tried to get the judge off the case, which probably wasn't a good idea. In Peterson's motion for the new trial, his attorneys Joe Bays and Matthew Bahoma said that the judge erroneously allowed for jurors to view an Instagram comment from Lane's personal account that refuted claims that Megan's former friend Kelsey Harris was a shooter. The filing also included declarations from Joshua Faris, an associate of Peterson, who claimed that he was the one who posted it. The court erred on the numerous questions of the law, allowing people to introduce the post, deprive defendant of trial, the motion said. The only acceptable remedy on miscarriage of justice is a new trial. Prosecutors responded to the notion as Canada first reported, calling the court to dismiss the request and stating that Peterson failed to demonstrate any error by the trial court in support of his motion. Peterson himself was purportedly dissatisfied with the case development, with the source providing Roseone that he regretted not testifying during the trial and that he felt misled by his attorney not to testify. Peterson was convicted of all three charges on December 25th and faces up to 22 years. 22 years. So what's my final case on this? My final opinion. My final opinion is most likely Tory Lanez is innocent. I think we can all kind of agree that the evidence so far isn't pointing to one person being the shooter. It could be many people. It could be two people, but it definitely isn't just Tory. Tory definitely isn't, I don't think, completely to blame for what happened. But the biggest issue I've always had with this story is that, you know, I'm personally somebody that kind of advocates for the extreme ownership principles, right? Made famous by Jocko Willink. He's got a book about it. It's somewhere on my bookshelf. And I kind of prescribe to that kind of way of living my life. Extreme ownership. And at the end of the day, Tory Lanez only has Tory Lanez to blame. Even if Megan Thee Stallion did falsely accuse him of shooting him, which is probably the case, and he's going to go to prison, even though he's innocent, which is probably the case, at the heart of the issue, if Tory Lanez would have kept his dick in his pants and not tried to smash everything that moved, he wouldn't be in this position. If he just would have been happy with smashing two best friends behind each other's back, which is already a bit of a flipping flex and a W, especially considering it's flipping one is Megan Thee Stallion and the other one is Kelsey at the time, who everybody was into. Why wasn't that enough? That wasn't enough. They end up going to Kylie's flipping house. Kylie Jenner ended up giving Tory Lanez the eyes. And from what we've been able to pass together, Kylie giving Tory Lanez the eyes is what then spurs the argument. Because the eyes lead to Tory Lanez acting up and trying to make a move. Then I think Megan Thee Stallion leaves with, I think, Kelsey. Then they come back and get Tory because they want to destroy his night because, you know, fuck him. And then once they get into the car, an argument ensues, and that leads to everybody finding out they're fucking each other, which leads to the shooting. So at the heart of it, if Tory would have just acted chill, like Kylie's, saw the eyes and just took it as some innocent flirting and kind of kept it moving, none of this would have happened. But the fact that he allowed himself to get too excited, and to not keep his composure, to not drink some much needed water when needed, kind of put him in this trouble. And obviously, he didn't take the right counsel from his legal team. Whoever told him not to testify was stupid. He should have been on that flipping. There should have been video footage. There should be clips. There should be video. There should be audio footage of Tory Lanez on the stand, crying and weeping and saying, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. But he acted too cool. He was acting too reserved, too chilled, hoping that the justice system would do him right. And obviously it didn't do him right. It fucked him over. He didn't take enough ownership of the narrative, as some people would say. He wasn't out here really fighting his case. He let the courts do it. He let his judges do it. He let media people do it. He didn't really come out and say categorically, hey, here's what happened. And if he would have done it, maybe it would have helped in the court of public opinion. Maybe it wouldn't have. But regardless, if the guy would have kept his dick in his pants, he would have never been in this position. And this, I think, should be a cautionary tale for most people. For most guys out there, should be a cautionary tale. Don't get too excited. Be chill. Be chill. don't do too much. Act cool. Relax. Because if you don't, you could go from swimming in Kylie's pool to facing up to 22 years. Can you imagine that contrast? Swimming in Kylie Jenner's pool, she looked like a baby in a manger, I think he said in one of the lyrics. And now you're facing 22 years in jail. In prison, sorry. Not jail, in prison. You're probably going to get, what's your thing called? He's probably going to get, what's that word called? Deported, right? As well on the back of this. You'll be a felon. It'll probably be hard for you to come in and out of the country. It's going to be a lot of adjustment. It's going to change his life completely. I'm not sure what it's going to be doing, what's going to happen with his kid. If his kid was born here, born in the States, sorry, or born in Canada. I don't know. It's a whole lot of issues. But in the heart of it, ascribing to the personal responsibility and extreme ownership type of thing, you have to just be able to keep your composure, in my opinion. That's what I think. But hey, what do I know? I wonder if Megan is sleeping well at night off the back of this, because I've read somewhere that she's going to be filing a victim impact statement. So clearly she doesn't give a fuck. She's going to be, she's going to be sending in a victim impact statement. Someone's going to be reading it out. It's going to be really tearful and shit. So she's clearly going to be basking it, because it's a bit too late. Because if you're Megan Thee Stallion, right? And let's imagine for one moment, or let's believe the narrative that she lied. That she purposely lied about Tory Lanez shooting her. Let's believe that for a bit. Or what I like to believe, to be more charitable to her, is that she didn't really see him shoot her, but by the vibe of the argument and shit, and the fact that they were fighting, let's just say it was him. So maybe she didn't lie flat out, but whatever, it's still a lie. So if that's the case, and you lied, why own up to it now? Just leave it alone. It's a bad vibes. You're putting an innocent man in prison, but it's probably worse if you own up to it now. It's sort of like fucking Jussie Smollett. If Jussie Smollett comes out tomorrow and says, all right, I own up to it. I did set up that whole thing with the Sandaro brothers. I did tell them to put to flip and put a rope around my neck and pour bleach on me and say, this is MAGA country. It was me. It's probably going to do more damage. You're probably better off just keeping quiet and hoping it goes away. It's too late now. The opportunity for you to own up to your mistakes and to your lies has already gone. So I think with Megan Thee Stallion, if you did lie, you just gotta let that guy rot in prison. It's fucked up and shit. But if you come out and say that you lied, your life is fucking over. As you know it. You're gonna have to move to Madrid with Amber Heard and shit. Megan ain't doing no fucking hola, right? She's not doing no hola. She's not doing no buenos dias, sorry. She's not doing none of that shit. Megan ain't gonna learn Portuguese, Italian, French. That's what's gonna happen. So if you're Megan Thee Stallion, you just gotta be like, you know what? Someone had to pay the price. My career is more important. I love my career more than I love you. It is what it is. And just kind of keep your mouth shut. And just refuse to do media probably until, forever. Like, unless it's like white media, you know what I mean? Because they're not going to give you any hard hitting questions. Just refuse to do hip hop based platforms. Don't do podcasts and stuff, and just kind of live your life, away from people. You would imagine so. But anyway, let's move on, man. Let's move on. Let's move on. I want to talk about this quickly. Let's talk about this quickly. So have you guys seen this? This is pretty interesting, right? Regarding Tucker Carlson. So all the noise around Tucker Carlson post Fox News exit has been a bit weird, because I've heard some reports say that he's technically still employed by Fox. They're still paying him, which means that he can't essentially jump onto another platform and become a host on there. There might be a non-compete clause in his contract, blah, blah, blah. But whatever the case may be, one thing is for sure, like him or lump him, that guy's a big deal. No one's going to make this kerfuffle about somebody, especially a news presenter or news anchor, if they want just some any guy. So clearly the guy's got power, the guy's got clout, the guy's got viewership, he's got an audience, and he's that guy. He is him. So because he is him, everyone's kind of clamoring to get him signed on their platform because, you know, the Fox exit, everyone saw the stats and the viewership numbers he was bringing there. So people are just looking at the maps and thinking, especially the way the culture's going, he's going to be prime time. He's going to definitely bring the eyes and the attention on your platform. We saw the Valuetainment and the Patrick Bet David sending him an offer and stuff, whatever. But out of nowhere, it feels like out of the blue. So, you know, Patrick Bet David, I would have thought a streaming platform would have jumped on him, like a Rumble or like a Kick or something. All these other platforms you would imagine that he would have jumped on, right? But out of the blue, it still feels like out of nowhere, he appears on Twitter and says, "We're back." And this is his first message posted directly on Twitter. It's now got 5.2 million views. It's a 3-minute video of Tucker Carlson explaining what his next step's going to be on Twitter directly.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie. A lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess. It's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
I love the fact that he's now trying to position himself as the truth teller. Whenever someone else says, hey, they're all lying, I'm telling the truth, be suspicious of everybody. No one's telling you the complete truth. That's the fact of it. You have to kind of, unfortunately, gather information from various different places and make your own decision, or come to some point of view, or use your critical thinking, methods or whatever it may be to come to some sort of conclusion. But the idea that one person's going to tell you the absolute truth and steer you right is just ridiculous. But just from a purely content creation point of view, it's really interesting to see that now Twitter has kind of positioned itself to a place where they are going to be competing with a YouTube. They'll be competing with a TikTok, with an Instagram. Not only just on just the social media side of things, on like, oh, this is a text-based social media. No, we're going to be the home for everything. So if you want to write something, if you want to post a picture, if you want to do a live stream, if you want to do a spaces, like recently, this is a new addition on Twitter that I didn't see before, where they now got the sidebar here, has all the spaces of people that you're kind of connected to hosting at the moment or where they're sitting in on, so you can quickly click it on desktop, because usually spaces, you can only listen to them on flipping your phone. So that's pretty sick. So clearly they are positioning themselves that way. So what I've also heard from them, I think he kind of posted, Elon posted it as a reply as to what they're going to be doing in terms of splits. Somebody asked a question underneath Tucker's post here called Ed Krasenstein, and they said, "You're right about everything you said, but the platform, you're right about everything that you said, but the problem is that you are just as guilty as those that you accuse of doing those things." Exactly what I said. And how many times have we set the narrative without telling all the facts? You tell the facts that you want to use for your narrative while leaving the expository facts out. Are you willing to admit that? And then Elon Musk replied and said the following: "On this platform, unlike the one-way street of broadcast, people are able to interact, critique, and refute whatever he or anyone has to say," which is very true. And of course, anything misleading will get community notes, which is a really good feature. Anytime you put out some flipping nonsense, it can get community noted, where somebody can basically put like a box under your tweet that says, "Hey, this is actually the facts." It's sort of like it reminds me of like a fact checker type of thing. It continues. Elon's response. He says, "I also want to be clear that we have not signed a deal of any kind whatsoever," because the rumors were first that Tucker signed a deal. And it's like, no, we haven't signed a deal. Tucker is subject to the same rules and content of all content creators, which is, again, something, say what you want about Elon, but the fact that he's trying to democratize social media is sick. Like, if you want a verification, you pay for it. You pay $9 or $8. Celebrities have to pay $8 or $9 too, and that's the ones he obviously paid for. But everybody gets treated the same. Same thing with this. So whatever content or whatever kind of money arrangement they've got with content creators is going to be the same across the board. Whatever deal Tucker gets, I get, anyone else gets, which is sick. Rewards means subscriptions and advertising revenue share. Still working out the software needed for the latter, which is a function of how many people subscribe and the advertising views associated with this content. I hope that many others, particularly from the left, also choose to be content creators on this platform. That's what I want to see, especially from the American side of things. I really want to see that healthy debate, because we have a lot of that in the UK, for like it or not. I think we have a fair amount of people on either side of the aisle, whether it comes to conservative or if it comes to more liberal people, kind of debating openly about certain topics. But I feel like for whatever reason in America, there may be, the left and the right kind of live on their own kind of platforms, and they don't really engage or interact with other people. And I think that's kind of necessary for healthy debate. So that'll be cool to see. Most likely won't happen, because a lot of these guys are going to get butthurt that Tucker Carlson's on Twitter and he's being sort of like welcomed with open arms and not going to like it. But I feel like this is going to be the best place to kind of do that thing. So I liked what he said there, and I think Elon had another update also about it regarding the splits for content creators, which I thought was interesting here. Oh yeah, this is it. What did he say? No, it's another thing. He said something about the splits. I think I don't have it here. Something about the 80. What was it? I think that the splits was something like considering like subscriptions, if I'm not mistaken. The idea I think of it was something along the lines of you keep all the revenue from subscriptions or from whatever it may be for the first year, and then after the fact, Twitter only takes 10%. Which is pretty crazy, because I think every other platform's like half or something, or sometimes 40, but them only taking 10% and leaving you to get the whole entire first year free is pretty wild. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that kind of pans out in the long term for content creators going forward. But I like it, man. It's nice to have a bit of competition out there, different platform. Maybe the content, maybe me even, I'm thinking the stuff that I put out on Twitter might be specific for Twitter. It might not be just the same thing you clip on YouTube and you throw on there. That might be an avenue to go down the ways. I'm not really too sure, but eager to see how it plays out. Eager to see how that plays out. Moving on from that one, let's talk about this. So, news regarding No Jumper. quickly, news regarding No Jumper. There's been an interview just posted recently on this guy called the Tommy G Show, a channel where I guess he goes to different hoods and areas and does cool, interesting things and talks to different cool, interesting people and does kind of commentary, you know, documentary type style content. And he sat down with Adam 22. And is it me or has Adam 22 lost a lot of weight? What do you guys think? He looks very different.
This is the Tommy G Show.
You see him? Look at him there. He looks very, very skinny. Or am I being a little bit over the top here? And I wonder, is this the stress from everybody leaving No Jumper and him basically being responsible for imploding the flipping platform? Is he maybe on a health kick? Is he back on the DRUGS? What's going on here? Because he looks really, really skinny, man.
We are here with Adam 22. There's a lot of directions we could start, but first I want to talk. We just did a workout. Tell us about your fitness journey, man.
About 6 months ago, I went on a BMX trip to Brooklyn and rode bikes every day, like 8-10 hours a day. And I was about 35 pounds heavier than I am.
What do we
right
think
now? And by the end of that,
what do you think? I'm about to say, I'm not too sure if he looks druggy. He just looks like he's lost a lot of weight because he's been, like you said, maybe on his bike a lot, and maybe just, you know, stress as well on top of that. It doesn't look druggy to me. It looks like stress, and it looks like, you know, being active. Because from what I've been hearing of people speaking, rumblings, the money's in No Jumper is not the same anymore. Everyone's pay's been cut because obviously all the big wigs, all the big timers, all the, you know, blockbuster people, the ADs, the Terrells, the house phones, the Doknows, the Smacks, all those people have left. So they're not pulling in as much views as they were before. If that's the case, money's down across the board. If money's down across the board, Adam's nut is down also, but his expenses are still what they are. So, you know, something has to give. You have to pay the people that are still there. You need to still generate the content. It's a bit mad. So I think all of that is definitely going to be on his back. And especially if you think about it, they moved to a whole entire new studio. He bought that amazing warehouse that they had where they threw, I think, only 2 Christmas parties, I think, unfortunately, right? They threw 2 Christmas parties and then the rest of it kind of went to club up. But. I'd imagine the rent in that place isn't cheap. It's not cheap, the rent in that place. So you got to pay the rent still. Your costs are still what they are, but you're not making as much. That's probably going to leave some lasting damage on a lot of people. But anyway, let's hear what he has to say about himself.
Trip, I was just like, yo, I can't do this anymore. And I just started eating real clean and working out way harder. And I've actually been averaging like way more weight loss than I thought I was going to be. Cause, you know, normally try to lose like a pound a week. And I've been like quite a bit out in front of that. So yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. Loving the discipline, the self-control. And I'm trying to lose like another, I don't know, 10, 15 pounds, trying to really get to like real deal shape with like abs. Shredded. And then I'm going to start trying to bulk and like really pack some muscle on. So I'm just, you know, it's really giving me something to focus on, and I'm just really enjoying it. I've been working out my whole life, but I never really got super serious about it until this, I guess.
That's what happens when you don't pay niggas, isn't it? When you don't pay the niggas, that's what happens. This is all his own fault, man. Honestly, the guy really fucked up such a great thing. No Jumper with all those guys was so good. The energy was absolutely amazing, was unmatched. And Adam 22 anyway was usually, in my opinion, has always been quite an unlikable person. But the people around him and the content he created kind of made you put up with him. He was insufferable, but you kind of, you know, put up with him because the work was good. The moment the work started to suffer, there's no point on tuning in anymore with him. Do you know what I mean? That's the main issue he's always had. He's never really been a likable person. He's always come across like a bit of a cunt. And once it was confirmed that he was a cunt, even to the people who were responsible for breathing new life into the platform, helping him do more interesting things, everything went to dust. Unfortunately for him. Unfortunately. But yeah, he's looking really well. He's looking really wild. I was going to say really well, but if he says he's losing weight and he's working out and he's feeling healthy, then that's what he says. So wish him all the luck. Check out the entire interview if you want. It's here courtesy of this channel called the Tommy G Show. You can see it there. That's what the headline's called. It's like, what is it? Sorry, Adam 22 speaks on No Jumper controversy, scamming and being a porn star. Of course. What else is he going to speak about? Hey, look at that identity. Of course he's going to speak about that shit. So check it out if you want. Check it out if you want. moving on from that one, we have to talk about the main pièce de résistance and the person who's on the flyer of the thumbnail of the flipping random show today. It is Doknow. Doknow has committed one of the biggest bag fumbles I've ever seen in real time, and for some reason it's really bothered me. It's bothered me more so because it just kind of is another bit of confirmation that these content creators, these people on the various platforms who have been kind of touched by the gods of flipping making a living, they've been touched by the gods of flipping success and fandom and notoriety and virality, are just taking their positions and the blessings for granted. That's the thing. And most of the time, it's usually stuff that it's just so avoidable and so unnecessary. In the case of Doknow, one half or 1/3 of the flipping Brown Bag podcast, he was part of a really fun collective called Brown Bag. Brown Bag was this, Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, whatever you want to call it, bass podcast, which there's not a lot of within that kind of hip-hop space, representing for the West Coast, doing some great things, putting people on, having fun, talking about their cultural things that they talk about, and just being a vibe, right? Great show in the premise of it. You think about it. There's a whole slew of people from that part of the world when it comes to Central America, Central America, South America and stuff, Hispanics, Spanish-speaking countries for the most part, many of them who are basically imbued within the hip-hop community and industry there in LA. So when the Brown Bag podcast came around and said doing what they were doing, I'm sure it was doing bits and successful just off that malarkey because it served a niche and they focused on it and they killed it. Then along the way, Power 106, one of the biggest radio stations out there in LA, decides, hey, we like what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We want to bring you on board. We want you to bring your show that you're doing in your studio onto our syndicated broadcasting radio station thing that we do here. You do this in the mornings, you get a nice paycheck, and you can continue doing your podcast on the side if you want to. But this will be your main thing, and you'll be in the ears and the cars and the attention of all these thousands or maybe millions of people around the world, or sometimes mainly in North America and stuff. So a great opportunity for you to kind of broaden your horizons. And guess what Doknow does? He fucks it up, of course. How's he fuck it up? He decides to make a really tasteless joke about Oscar de la Hoya and his alleged battles with the old cocaina just after they interviewed him. Just after the interview, he makes a joke about Oscar de la Hoya doing cocaine. And of course, that led, I reckon, to him being fired. I don't think it was the main reason. I think it led to him being fired. And, the following shows, he wasn't on the Brown Bag podcast. People were hypothesizing and theorizing and whatever it may be on social. And then he finally spoke out and broke his silence after the whole fact and said the following via this screenshot. I am no longer at Power 106 LA. I couldn't name 3 rap albums from the 90s and I had way too many corridos on my playlist. LOL, joking. I decided to part ways and it just wasn't for me. Shout out to them for the opportunity. Forever grateful. And make sure you listen to Letty and at Rosen Stars Vic, however you say his name, every morning. And the following tweet, and it's still Brown Bag Podcast. We're just working on things. Clearly, for me, this is a firing. I don't think it's only the Oscar de la Hoya thing. I get the feeling that most likely Doknow just couldn't wake up early in the morning. Because I've, from various accounts, especially listening to like early episodes of like The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God and DJ MV and stuff and Angela Yee. The one thing I remember they used to always complain about and say that it got some adjusting to, you had to adjust to, it took some adjusting to, was waking up early in the morning. That was one thing that kind of was very difficult when you're doing morning radio, because you'd imagine doing morning radio, you have to probably leave wherever you're living at 3 a.m. in the morning, maybe earlier, to get to the station before 6 or whenever the flipping early morning shift starts. So it's a bit of a hard slog to do Monday to Friday. It's not the easiest thing, especially if you're a young dude like, Doknow, and you're only 21, you're only 22, you're only 23, however old he is. To suddenly go from living your, you know, crazy hedonistic bachelor chill young man life, living at home, eating when you want, drinking when you want, staying up late as possible, and having to clock in out of a normal job is difficult. But just imagine all of the benefits that come from it. You're on Power 106, the biggest radio station on there. You've also got the podcast on the side. Most likely working at that radio station is going to open doors for you that you could have never opened on your own. You're going to be in the industry. You're going to have connections. You're going to build relationships with people. Whatever. It's going to open avenues like, you know, walkthrough business over there in the West Coast is big, where you go to a fucking club and you essentially walk through. You sit at a table, they give you free drinks, and at the end of the night, the flipping promoter pays you money because they hope that because you're famous, they can put you on a flyer, more people are going to come, they're going to buy more tables. So you get paid to club, and they even sometimes give you drinks for free. And off the back of that, you can do other things, hosting, whatever it may be, all from that radio gig. So it's kind of like, you know, it's going to kill your social life for a bit. It might kill your back. It might kill your sleep pattern. It's going to take it out. It's going to be difficult, but the benefits far outweigh the negatives. And he couldn't do it just for a year. Just bang it out for a year. Maybe even 6 months. Couldn't do it. Immediately got himself fired. Such a big bag fumble. Because you'd imagine that's like a guaranteed check that you're getting every month from a radio station. On top of whatever else you're doing. Content on your own channel. Content on your own flipping social media platforms. You know, jumping on other podcasts, he's on that Community World. All the other things you're doing is only adding to it. So imagine what you're clearing on a monthly basis. I'd hate to look. Let's actually look, actually. Let's see. Morning host, Power 106 LA salary. I don't think it's going to come up, but let's see what a roughly salary is. Right? An on-air personality on Power 106 gets between 40,000 to 60,000 per year. Now, don't get me wrong. Living in LA, I'm sure this isn't the greatest salary, but just imagine we're talking about Doknow here, who's a pretty big and successful social media content creator on his own right? He's young, he's still new in this, but he's got a decent following. He's got a decent, you know, subscriber base on his YouTube. He does decent views. He's on a number of shows. He could easily be, if you know, not pocket watching again, he could easily be making or clearing upwards of 10,000 a month, maybe even to the hundreds of thousands if he plays his cards right. Just because of the little extra bit that you get from fucking working a job. And this is not just any job. This is a job in the industry, in media, in entertainment that could lead to other things. TV, movies, books, whatever. This could open doors to. And he still managed to fuck it up. That's why I think this might be one of the biggest bag fumbles we've ever seen of all time. Legit. And I'm curious to see what people say under the tweet, actually. Let's go over it. Let's see what people said under the tweet itself. First person, homie didn't want to wake up early. Agreed. Another person, my guy got fired for calling De La Hair a cokehead. Another one, Oscar De La Coca didn't like that caption. Another one, partying gets old, bro. Don't let that get in the way of your legacy. Which is really accurate. But that's also something I've kind of spoken about. And I think I mentioned it on my Patreon. So make sure you check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Agostino. Recent episode where I spoke a little bit about the Chris Brown and Usher thing. And basically my whole takeaway from that was that why is it that it's looked down upon to be a fuck up and to kind of do this and party instead of caring about your legacy? Why is that such a bad thing? Why can't some people legitimately choose like an adult and say, you know what, I'd rather party and get the itches than actually focus on the work and my career, my legacy? That should be allowed. You should be allowed to self-sabotage. You should be allowed to bag fumble in peace without people like myself criticizing you. I think so. It's weird to say this, but there should be an avenue where if you're old enough to make a decision where you say, you know what, I'm not going to turn up to work, you should be old enough to accept the consequences of it. And sometimes it's not, you know, because there's all this saying, people say, oh yeah, you'll learn from your mistakes, you'll get better from this. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. Maybe this is your destiny. Maybe your destiny is to be the bag fumbler until the end of time. That's okay. At least you have a good story to tell when you're at a bar or at some barbecue somewhere. That's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, it continues. Another person said, see, look, this is even something I didn't even think about. Big up Santiago Munez. Influencer money runs out. You threw away a career by losing Power 106. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about the fact that being an influencer and trying to create content in that regard and getting paid that way is actually hard to do and to sustain long term. Maybe having a actual legit radio career, an actual legit CV that you can kind of show might be a good thing for the long term if you decide to pivot. Or like as a fallback plan. If if your clout starts to disappear and people don't stop caring about you. Wow, I never even thought about that. This meme is amazing. How the fuck you get fired on your day off? Another person says, please don't let it be that you couldn't wake up early. Imagine if that's and a part of me as well thinks that largely, because I've seen a lot of people online, right? Because again, it just frustrates me because I guess because me making content and working a regular job, I know what I'd rather do, right? But I think in general, I think most of these guys and girls who struggle to kind of, just be grateful for what they have, work hard at it, have fun, and kind of keep it moving, and they're always involved in drama. I reckon, or I wonder, thinking aloud, if this has anything to do with a lot of these people being quite lucky in life where they hadn't really had to work regular jobs for the most part. They were able to kind of always get by doing kind of fun stuff, entertainment stuff, content stuff. But they've had to just work like stacking shelves somewhere. Like not like, I think everyone does it when you're a kid, but actually doing that when you're an adult, like doing that in your late 20s. Like you're actually working in a shop, you're actually working in a bar, you're a fucking bar back, you're doing stock work and shit. Like I think some of these guys haven't done that. So I think because of that, you take that stuff for granted. And you think the content shit is like forever, it's evergreen, and you don't ever kind of, look back and think, hey, this is a blessing. I should maybe take this seriously and really kind of, make the most of the situation that I've got at the moment, because there are some people like who like, I remember there was a time once where I was working in this place, I was working in this art supplies company, right? And I think at the time I moved to my place, I think at the time, wherever place I was living at, the rent must have been like £500 a month, right? 500 a month. And I was working in this place in the west of London, and I live in the east, right? So it's west. And I legitimately at the end of the month was getting paid. At the end of the month, after all taxes and shit, I was getting like £989, not even £1,000, and my rent was 500. And then I had to pay my bills, just my rent alone. So I was left with like £423. God forbid on that month, if I had an overdraft, I'll be left with like 300 and something. There was that kind of month where I'll be basically trying to stretch 100 quid for like 4 weeks. Right? Back in the day. So when you kind of come from that sort of life, it's very difficult to get like to feel sympathy for these guys when they fuck up such easy bags. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to have sympathy with, because this is nothing. You have to wake up like early. To sit? And it's not waking up early to go work in a building site or waking up early to go set tables. You're waking up early to go and sit in front of a microphone and laugh and joke around with some of your best friends and talk about topics that you know about intrinsically, like you are an expert in, where it comes to gossiping about celebrities or talking about music and shit. It's not like they're asking you about, about fucking Fermi's paradox or some shit, You're talking about stuff in your field of expertise and you still fuck it up. That for me is like mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Another one person says, dude, you couldn't wake up early. Only reason why I listen to the stations. Everybody's killing you for the waking up stuff. So I guess this is a common theme. Because my theory is that Doknow most likely was turning up late a lot. Obviously on air, if you've heard him on podcasts, you would know Dooknow's in a quiet taste. He's kind of annoying. He's definitely in a single-digit IQ and culturally not the smartest guy. Doesn't really have the most interesting takes. So all of that combined, then you're making jokes about Oscar de la Hoya and coke and shit after you just interviewed him, super unprofessional. Then they said get out. So they're probably looking for any excuse to get him out. Then he obviously gave him an excuse on a fucking silver platter. Another person, how do you get fired on your day off? Another one, no more no jumper, now no more Power 106. I guess when you lost clout chasing, you be hopping around. And that's a big takeaway from it. He left no jumper to do his own thing. Fig Community World is doing their thing, but it's still growing. Then you get signed to Power 106. You think you've kind of, you know, shown that, hey, I can do it on my own, and then you get fired. Fuck me. It was those Oscar De La Hoya comments, huh? Another one, see? Fumbling the bag. How you get fired on your day of meme again. Running away from the grind. SMH, Chic Up. Running away from the grind is hilarious, isn't it? Running away from hard work. That's what it's saying you got fired on your day off. Fumble the bag 101. Definitely noticed you were missing, but I hope it means that you'll be getting more videos. Still waiting for that second ASMR video. I think this person wants to fuck. Another one, home girl, this domestic. But why? You made the first 2 hours of my clocking into work go by fast. Gonna miss hearing you on the radio. So again, forget just you. He had actual fans like this person who looked forward to hearing him on the radio every single day before work. And guess what? He fumbled it and now has in part ruined her morning commute, ruined her morning work, or whoever this person is. Jesus Christ, do know, man. Absolutely horrific. But yeah, biggest bag fumble I've ever seen, to be honest. And I have no sympathy. It is what it is. He hopefully lands on his feet. Maybe he doesn't. It goes back to my whole adage. You should be allowed to be a fuck up. If he's a fuck up, let him be a fuck up. It's all good. You know? He'll figure it out. Or he won't. But we will watch and laugh. We will watch and laugh. Or I will, at least, anyway. Anyway, moving on from that one. Yeah, so about this quickly. Yeah, this is another one. Another good example. This is again courtesy of the No Jumper subreddit, and it features Schaub, who I might actually play a video of his later on at the end when I finish all the Brendan Schaub shit. But Schaub was let me just start from the beginning. So Yuri and Vel, who are still, I think, at No Jumper, they're in Las Vegas. They're having like a kind of couples retreat, couples holiday, chill, hangout, fun, whatever it may be. They all decided to go over to Las Vegas, and Yuri decided to live stream the entire experience, do a little IRL stream like his idol, Ice Poseidon, right? The guy's 30 years old and he looks up to Ice Poseidon. You already know what type of guy he is, isn't it? Maximum turbo loser. But anyway, they go over to Las Vegas. They run these streams. Loads of legendary clips sort of come from it. There's a inclination or an insight into, you know, the state of Yuri and Riley's relationship, which isn't the greatest. You know, it is what it is. They probably made for each other in a weird, you know, fumbly, nonsensey, you know, stinky way. They kind of made for each other in some regards. But it's just quite funny to see Yuri be, you know, a 30-year-old dude and just unable to kind of understand social cues, unable to kind of, you know, not be insecure and shit. Like, it's just really strange to see this guy work in real time. But the clips of Schaub, you know, flipping, descending on them and kind of dropping his pearls of wisdom has been pretty sick. So Schaub happened to pop by while they were all there, and he decided to kind of expound on some of the developments at No Jumper, and one of them being the pay kind of cut he's taken since everything's kind of gone down. And Schaub was one of the people who was kind of backing Adam 22 regarding everything, and sort of like, you know, offering the other side of the argument, which I think he did really well, especially when he jumped on flipping AD stream and basically said, hey, you maybe shouldn't have left so hastily, maybe you could have talked it out and shit. There was many things that were going on at the same time. Kind of, you know, a really wise sort of way to kind of approach it. Of course, Pun didn't like it, and the call ended up kind of turning left very quickly. But he did have a really interesting insight about the pay over at No Jumper, and again proving that these guys are just like, you know, the fumbling bags, and just from everybody, especially Adam, because you think about it. Anyway, this clip I'm going to play here features Schaub detailing how much of a pay cut he's taken, but just pay attention to how much he's getting now. That's the interesting thing to pay attention to. Oh, I got to take off mute. Bear with me a second. Let's go back to the beginning of it. Just pay attention just to how much he says he's now earning now, because his pay's been cut, and keep that in mind.
Same amounts of money was because I've done that same amount of numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers were fucking catastrophic. They were insane.
No, facts. Still are.
I just touched like the first fucking 8,400, like the lowest month.
Jesus Christ.
I've seen amounts of.
So Schaub said he was getting obscene amounts of money from No Jumper because the content he was creating was getting obscene amounts of views, which it was. If you've seen Sharp's content on No Jumper, it's fucking legendary. And, you know, his podcast was great, his Sharp show was great, and just generally great personality on there. So he was doing bits, so he's obviously getting compensated very well. But now that everybody has left, all the big people that were bringing in the numbers, his pay has now gone down to a measly $8,400, which is still a lot, right? Still a lot of money. But the reason why I wanted to mention it was because if Adam could afford to pay Sharp $8,400, just think what they were making. And that's what makes me think again, like the bag fumble. Like, why couldn't Adam just have got somebody else in place to manage the host, to maybe spoken openly about his concerns about some people, you know, especially AD and his performance? Why couldn't he have maybe decided, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to speak to an employee? Because one of the major things that I feel like fucked it all up was, it's a tiny thing, but it definitely didn't sit well with people, was the fact that he thought it was a good idea to complain about other employees with another employee. You don't go to Lush, especially someone like a Lush, he's like a super loser. You know, he's kind of the example of what every man should pray to God that they don't turn out to be. Like a guy in his late 40s, still like, you know, just struggling in terms of self-image, self-confidence, and how he moves. Just awful. So I'm just curious why he decided it was a good idea to speak to his other employees about other employees' performance and think that it wasn't going to end badly. Because if he was able to pay one host $8,400, they must have been making bank. And it all got fucked up because of lack of communication. Not willing to pull somebody aside and say, hey, you're fucking up. This is not good enough. Can you do this better, please? Having some honest conversations about shows and their performance. All of that avoidance blew up in his face, Adam 22, and everybody ended up leaving for their own reasons. Some of them maybe justified, some of them maybe not justified. But at the end of the day, this should be the biggest L for Adam. The fact that he was at one point able to pay one host north of $8,400. So they must have been clearing a lot. So that rumor or that thing that he said when he went on Vlad and he said he makes like $1 million a month or something, that's actually maybe true. They were probably around the 500,000 or something they were making a month on the platform across the board. Of course, you got to account for loads of things, rent and stuff in the warehouse. It's not all free money, profit in your pocket, I know. But damn, man, they fumbled it. Collectively, they fumbled it. Absolutely wild. So yeah, big up Sharp for that. And I'm sure that little revelation is going to be ringing around, and other posts are going to have their say regarding it as well, because, you know, these guys, they always have a flipping annoyance about it. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the Big B Schaub. What's been happening in the Big B Schaub? Big B Schaub world. We've got a few clips here that I've kind of decided to clip up and shit and put on the old streamable. Let's do the first one. This is courtesy of the flipping fight companion thing that he did for the, you know, the just past card with Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. First off, I don't know why he continues or persist with doing this fight companion shit. Someone's got to tell Brendan Schaub this fight companion shit he's trying to revive is just not the vibe. It's fucking terrible. The only way it's gonna work is if he tries to copy the same thing that Rogan did, where you just have your friends doing it, because that's the one thing he's missing. The reason why the JRE fight companions worked was because they were all friends, and legitimately Brendan was the odd one out. Like Joe Rogan and Bryan Callen had been friends for more than 20 years. Rogan and Eddie Bravo have been friends for 20 years. Plus that, I'm sure Eddie Bravo has known Bryan because of Rogan for that long. And Brendan was kind of the new guy in the crew. And he was sort of like the lovable oaf, which is why I still maintain that the best version of the best version of Brendan Schaub on a podcast was definitely THICCC early Fox days and the early episodes of the flipping Jerry Fight Companion, before he started wearing like fancy shoes and driving Porsches. That early time was definitely the best sort of like version of him, because he was still trying to impress those guys. He didn't feel like he was on the same level of them. He was trying to make them laugh. He was being silly. He was kind of like the young one in the crew. Like, he definitely came across way better. But at the heart of it, that show, I swear on my life, only works, guess why? Because they're fucking friends. If you're not friends, it doesn't work. So this persistence with this show and getting randoms on to go on there doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. And he just persists with it. He doesn't care. And it just keeps on going. Anyway, this recent clip is another example of it. It's just like more dead air on the show that doesn't really make any sense. So he's on there, and one of his co-hosts that's doing the show with him, George JANKO, ask him, hey, who are your favorite stand-up comedians? And Brendan Schaub, obviously, in the most Brendan Schaub way, tries to answer it, and, you know, the answer is fucking all over the place. So let's check out the flipping clip that I obviously clipped over here.
Who do you think is the best stand-up comedian? On the earth right now? Bill Burr or...
Bill Burr?
Bill Burr, hands down, or Louis C.K. So
quickly, before we continue this, right? Because the first opening bit is the first bit. Whenever someone repeats the question back to you, they don't know what to say, they're thinking. So just, you know, asking a legit professional stand-up comedian who talks for a living, you would imagine, hey, who's your favorite stand-ups at the moment? Oh, you kind of reel them off very quickly. Or you can think about it and consider it. But you don't need to repeat the question back again and then try and answer it and try and pull some names out of your ass. But it's fucking hilarious. Let's play again.
Who do you think is the best stand-up comedian? On the earth right now? Bill Burr or...
Bill Burr?
Bill Burr, hands down, or Louis C.K.
I like how George JANKO said Bill Burr, like as if like Bill Burr is Matt Rife or some shit. I love it, man. He doesn't... Like, he's like the same like Brendan a little bit. I love when he said on these podcasts how he hasn't watched any Rogan specials, doesn't know him at all. So he probably thinks Bill Burr's fucking terrible because he's so moody or something. Hilarious.
So it's like the pound for pound list. It's all, you know, whoever you think is better, but there's no real list. So it's either Bill Burr.
No, there's a list.
David
He's
Tell,
asking for your list.
I think Big J Orkson right now.
Excuse me? Who? Say that again.
I think Big J Orkson. So it's either Bill Burr, David Tell. I think Big J Orkson.
You'd imagine if that was your favorite comedian, you'd know how to pronounce her name. Big J Orkson. Orkson. Who the fuck is BJ Orkson? And it's funny because you get the feeling that he's only saying Big J Orkson because he's kind of like a name that somebody would say if you're trying to appear like you're like plugged in. And also, Big J is one of the only people from that East Coast scene who's nice to him. All right, so it's sort of like, it makes sense. He's nice to him. He's a good guy. Never met him. Big J Orkson. Fucking crazy list so far.
Right now, Big J's doing it. His last special, the best special I've seen in a hot second.
He didn't watch it in full.
Louis C.K.
You like him twice. You put him on twice.
So I Bill Burr, Louis C.K., David Tell, Big J Orkson.
How can you not say Big J Orkson? How is that so hard to say? Please, his brain is literally breaking saying his name.
Big J Orkson.
Or just say Big J.
Orkson. Orkson. Big J Orkson.
I've legit never heard anybody say Orkson. I swear on my life. Big J Orkson. Like, it's not that difficult to say. Like an oak tree. Orkson. Orc. Where's the orc? Where's that sound coming from?
Orkson. No one makes me laugh harder than Theo.
Oh man, Theo is something else. When we had him on the podcast, and then talking to him in real life, and might just be me, but I feel like I'm talking to a character. I don't know if it's actually him.
He might be. Don't get me wrong, his stand-up's ridiculous. He's so funny. He might be funnier in just casual conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey. Your guest is saying one of your best friends is a character. Maybe stand up for him and say, nah, he's actually not a character. That's actually him legitimately. He's a good friend of mine. He's legit as fuck. Just let him say, I don't know if he's a character. I don't know if he's making shit up.
So, yes, and I think that's why.
But that's slowly coming over to him.
Also, has somebody not washed their hair? I'm not so familiar with Caucasian hairs and stuff, but that looks like somebody that hasn't washed their hair in a couple of days. No? Am I seeing like gel? Is that like what gel looks like when it's not, or like pomade or some shit? That doesn't look washed to me. What do you guys think? That looks very, very greasy. Not in a good way. You know, someone he hasn't had a shower in a long time, or he's one of those guys that when he gets in the shower he doesn't wash his hair. He just puts the water on his body, or if that, because I don't know. Brendan doesn't strike me as a showerer. I know it's a bad thing to say, but I don't know. Anyway.
Him in his stand up, and it's like once, and he's ridiculous now. Like
I caught him when
level.
he was on fire. Oh my god,
Nobody
it was
funny.
something else.
Nobody funny.
When he caught wind, and you could see when a comedian catches wind, bro.
What does this mean when he catches wind? Did he suck a fart in? What does catching wind mean? These fucking conversations, man.
I watched him put out everybody else's fire that went
he's
on
a
before
monster.
him. Oh, he was unbelievable.
Anyway, terrible clip, because I feel like if you had to put a gun to his head, he couldn't name you a single, or he couldn't recite a single bit, even the premise from Louis C.K., Big J. Orkerson, as he says, Bill Burr, Theo Vaughn, not Vaughn, I keep saying his name wrong, Theo Vaughn. I don't think he could name a single special title correctly. None. Could he repeat a premise or a joke? Zero. Has he watched any of their specials in full? No. Which is probably his main reason why he's as unfunny as he is. Maybe. I don't think so, because I don't feel like you have to watch specials to be funny, personally. Bit of an controversial opinion there. I feel like if you're actually sitting down, writing jokes, getting up a lot, and honing your craft, you can still be funny without having to sit and watch people's specials. Naturally, you're going to see people in a comedy store you're performing at, blah, blah, blah. But that's not like a prerequisite. But I think if you're Brendan and you're coming from a place where you're like horribly unfunny, and you're like a legit athlete. He was a legit jock before he started comedy. He wasn't always his dream to be a stand-up. It's all a lie. It's all like a, what's that thing called? It's like an attempt to rewrite history. He wanted to be a flipping American football player, and it didn't work out. Then he did UFC, sick, and then he pivoted into podcasting and stand-up. No problem. But this whole rewriting of history, I always wanted to be a stand-up, it's not true. Because clearly he doesn't have the chops. Because if he had the chops, he would have had some inkling of it from beforehand. It didn't happen. So if you're working from zero, or zero, as he would say, you need probably to go and watch some specials. You probably need to be a little bit more of a student of the game than the average person, because you're coming from such a low base. So maybe the refusal to watch people's specials, because if he said it before, even on, didn't he say it on the fucking Golden Hour? He said, I don't watch people's specials and shit. He should watch them. I think if you're a big comic or a big comedian, maybe you shouldn't watch specials too much, because you don't want to, get stuff in by osmosis and whatnot. But if you're a coming up person, you probably need to watch them. You probably need to see what the levels are out there. You probably need to see what the pros are doing, or people on your same level, or people you want to aspire to get to. It's probably handy. And if you don't do it, it's probably going to, bite you in the arse sooner rather than later. But yeah, Brendan naming his top 5 comics there. Who are your top 5 comics? Let me know in the comments down below. You see me being a content creator. Look at that, eh? On the fly content creation. Oh, you know what? This is the best bit, bro. This is the best clip from that fucking show. This is the best clip from that show. Because if ever you needed an example to show you, just maybe to illustrate why Brendan is where he's at, despite giving every advantage, every cosign, every privilege, everything that you needed to succeed, he still finds a way to fuck it up in his own special way. And it's so funny to watch. This is another good example of it. Brendan Schaub, midway through the show, decides to insert an ad for his fucking whiskey, which is pretty gross. I gotta be honest. Not gonna lie, it's pretty gross, right? You already got a million fucking ads on your fucking pods anyway, a million sponsors, a million things you're plugging, there's many fucking codes that you're fucking flinging. Enough with the fucking ads. Now he's making merch for his whiskey, Tiger Thick, Tiger Cum, whatever it's called. He inserts it midway through the show, and just watch the trailer for watch the little video for the Tiger Thick whiskey thing, and see if you can notice something. Just keep your eye on it, because this is fucking hilarious, honestly. Watch the video. It's coming up. Watch it. Just watch. Just keep your eye on it.
Damn, no shirt, leather jacket.
Michael Jackson jacket. Let's go.
Did they already show Frank Edgar in the background? How dare they?
Hey, yo, big up. Sorry to tell. Thank you for
I
$5
don't
super
think
chat.
he's a student of the game. I think he thinks he is the game.
Oh, big up. Sorry to tell. That's a perfect line. For sure. I definitely agree with that one. I don't think Brendan Schaub is a student of the game. I think he thinks he is the game. For sure. He's completed the game. He's mastered it. He's done it. He smashed it. But yeah, this is another example of why he's not the student of the game. But big up, sorry to tell. Thank you for the $5. Look at this clip. Just keep an eye out on the fucking advert for Tiger Thick whiskey.
Not give him camera time.
No, we know why. We just went over all this. And you just saw it live. So say what you want or just put on the jacket.
Yep.
It's up to you. Or just get back on Fight Pass prelims and don't wear the jacket. It's up to you.
It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, we don't have jackets, but we got new Tiger Thick whiskey merch just dropped tonight on thickboy.com. We got whiskey glasses, hoodies, tees. The Tiger Thick merch is available right now on thickboy.com. New fancy glasses.
Oh, you missed it. I missed it. So let's go back right back a little bit. I got to scroll back up again because this is hilarious. Big up the Final Kids subreddit guys for spotting this. This is fucking beautiful.
Oh, we don't
Look
have
at
jackets.
this. Top
we got
corner.
new
Top
Tiger
corner.
Thick whiskey merch just dropped tonight on thickboy.com.
Around here.
We got
Keep,
whiskey glasses,
keep your eye here.
Hoodie.
Keep your eye here.
Tees. The Tiger Thick merch is.
Can you see that? Can you see that? So, for some reason, whoever's part of the fucking marketing team or the fucking production team that puts these adverts together wanted to film this little sizzle reel of the whiskey being poured into a glass, a Tiger Thick glass, right? They've got their own glasses now. Cool. Tumblers, whatever. With some dice there with the logo. All right, do your thing. From high up above. And for some reason, when they're pouring this whiskey into the glass, it starts to bubble like it's, I don't know, like lemonade or some shit. Like, what the fuck's going on here, innit? What are we doing here? But if you really scroll back a little bit, what you notice is that the bottle that they're using isn't Tiger Thick. It's actually Jameson. So the lack of professionalism, right? You can see the logo a little bit there. Can you see that? Look, you see the logo of the bottle. You see the J and the E. Like anybody that's drunk enough Jamesons or has seen it, you will instantly recognize what the bottle logo looks like. And that is definitely Jameson's. So the lack of professionalism, the lack of attention to detail means that they went to a shoot, an entire shoot, right? An entire shoot they went to film this flipping little advert. They got printed. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. They got printed, right? This. They got printed a whole rail full of merch. So this is a specific design that they put on the hoodie, on some t-shirts. They got also printed, you know, they got also made some dice, these little metal dice things. They also got made these little whiskey glasses. So a lot went into putting this up. Right, to putting this together. You put the whole thing together, you want to put a little capsule collection out there, you want to make it part of your whole lifestyle, blah, de, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes to the shoot day, and you don't have a bottle of Tiger Thick whiskey around. That's the one thing you kind of notice in this whole little sizzle reel, this whole little advert. There's actually not a bottle of that fucking, you know, soy sauce looking shit. It's not there. And usually that bottle's everywhere. Right? Look, even on that table, there it is. Look, it's right there. There's the bottle. That horrible soy sauce vinegar type bottle design is sitting right there next to, I forgot the other name of it, that one that Jogan started drinking. So somehow along the way of putting the fucking advert together, no one had the attention to detail or had the foresight to bring a bottle of Tiger Thick with them. Even though he's the most likely got, I reckon, this is my theory also, I reckon Brendan's got pallets and pallets and pallets full of Tiger Thick whiskey somewhere in some fucking warehouse, just collecting dust. I'm sure of it. Or at some port. There's just loads of them there. They get to, and I don't know how long whiskey kind of, you know, lasts and stuff, but they're probably approaching their sell by date. But I think he must have like thousands of bottles that have gone unsold. So the fact that they couldn't get one bottle exactly, vagabond, of that sweet nectar, they couldn't find it and take with them on the shoot, is fucking hilarious. the lack of professionalism, lack of attention to detail is just bizarre. And again, just an easy fumble that you thought no one else would notice, but unfortunately the homeless cat's always got their eye on the ball. Look at that. You can see it right there. It's a Jameson's bottle. Honestly, man, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes in life, the worst people are given everything. And they fuck it up, and they still get given more. Which is why I say sometimes the whole notion around karma is a nonsense. That's why I also say sometimes this whole pointing and laughing at comedians thing is so fun, because you just point and laugh. Don't sit there, be hateful. Don't sit there and hope for bad things to happen to them. No, just laugh and enjoy the sideshow. This is probably better entertainment you can get on TV right now. Trust me, I watch, you know, TV series. I've started watching this show on Amazon called Citadel. Fucking garbage, but there's nothing to watch, so I'm watching it. Rabbit Hole was decent with Kiefer Sutherland, but ended pretty crazy shit. Barry season 4 isn't the greatest now. It's kind of fallen off. Snowfall, kind of overrated. All these shows out there right now, like Succession, I'm waiting for it to finish and I'm going to watch it all at once. But still, it's not pulling up any trees. There's not much good content out there. Unless you like watching reality TV, which I don't watch. But the clearest thing near to reality TV are these comedians, especially Bappaverse stuff. Because where else would you get a guy from the Bappaverse who decides like to do the unconventional, to start his own liquor brand, but not do it the normal way like every other celebrity does it, where you just get, you know, you just go to a place and you just basically stick your own logo and pick your own bottle design and kind of tweak the flipping recipe, but it's kind of white labeled, you know, it's kind of all done in-house sort of stuff. No, he tries to do it on his own way. There was a time where, if you remember the law, there was a time where Brendan thought he could sell his whiskey bottles on Shopify. He thought he could just have it on his website listed there, and you could buy a hoodie and buy a bottle of whiskey too. He also thought he was allowed to just like take bottles with him to clubs and just sell them out from his bag and shit. He had no research, nothing into what he was doing at all. He just goes as per usual. And this is a clear example of just going. You turn up to a shoot to flipping promo your new whiskey merch, and you don't have the actual bottle to show off. So you have to pour whiskey up from high above, but then you don't do it high above enough, and now everyone sees the Jameson logo. It's fucking perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh, you couldn't make this up. And why is it bubbling like that? Like, honestly, whiskey shouldn't be bubbling like that, surely. No? It shouldn't be frothing. It's not a pint. It's whiskey. It's not beer. It doesn't have any hops, I'd imagine. Oh my god, absolutely incredible. But big up Brendan, always winning, and we are the ones who are always losing. Continuing on here, we also got this clip quickly to feature again, another example as to why this show doesn't work in terms of it being a fight companion. It's just absolutely terrible. The vibes are not it, and this is a good example of it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this electric atmosphere, right? At the GRE fight, at the fight companion courtesy of flipping Thick Boy. Look at this electric atmosphere.
But what a stacked.
All killers, yeah.
I mean, 145 too.
That Umar, or Megan Madoff's the problem. He's a beast.
Yeah.
At 11, that
yeah.
gets trouble.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everybody in that top 15 can, or top.
It's all about styles, right? Anybody can get it done.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Look at George Janko, bless him. Look at George. I just wanted some clout, man. I just wanted some clout, man. I was watching Theo and he like blew my mind. I just wanted some clout. Would this do anything good for my metrics? Look at him. Oh god.
That's it. It's literally in the top 15 of each division. I feel like anybody can be a
Any
world champ at any moment, but
depends how
style.
Yes, style. Even Adrian Yanez at 12 is a fucking savage, man.
Yeah,
even though he just lost to Rod,
yeah,
tough fight for him. It's a stylistically tough fight for him. There's much better matchups for him.
Hey, beast of a conversation. Don't do it again. Look at this small talk. Horrendous. Horrendous.
Top 10. Let's get out of fights, though, boys. Appreciate you doing it, Dom. You saved the day. I owe you brother. You saved the fucking day.
I hope you guys learned a lot.
135 GOAT. I'm glad you were here, man. We really opened our eyes. No, it was great, man. You did a great job, George.
Yeah, it was good to see the ignorance of the people.
Listen,
between George and Chin, man.
And don't think it's just for fighting. It could be in any vertical you want it.
I love it. That's it, fellas.
Banter.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in.
You
Love you
clap
guys.
out or you walk out?
That's
Okay,
it. We're out of here.
Oh, that was a depressing end to a show, isn't it? First, it was advertised that it was Ryan Garcia and George Janko. Ryan Garcia, of course, flakes. Of course, he does. It's still to be decided whether or not he actually was meant to be on the show at all, or whether or not he just used him for the clout. We don't know. And then Dominick CRUZ comes on there instead, who has his faults and is he's an acquired taste. And they sit there monotone, deadpan, trying to break down the fights and make it a good vibe. My opinion on this as well is this, right? My kind of like final opinion on this, the fight companion. Why doesn't Brendan just do this on his own? Because in my opinion, like I said, the original JRE fight companion worked the best because they were all friends, hanging around each other. So what usually would happen most of the time, it was kind of like the shtick of the show, was that they'll do the Jerry fight companion for a really big card. Like these were the cards where sometimes Connor's fighting, like huge cards. And sometimes they won't be paying attention to the fights. They'll be so enveloped in their own conversation and making each other laugh and shouting across the table and drinking and eating and shit that they'll forget about the fights. And sometimes it'll make you forget about the fights. So you were just enjoying the show for what it was. It was like a free bonus JRE. It wasn't even like a fight companion thing. So the vibes were immaculate. Whereas this is essentially them sitting around the table watching the fights. They're not actually putting on a show. So if that's the case, you're better off either doing it with a set group of people that you have all the time who you're actually friends with, because you can have a conversation with them and you can shoot the shit and you're not going to have any dead air. Or why doesn't Brendan do it on his own? Why doesn't Brendan do something like this that I'm doing now? Why doesn't Brendan do, or not even me, why does Brendan do what was he do? What's his name? The UFC guy, what's his name? His name escapes me, English dude. From fucking, what's his fucking name? He does live streams. Why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't Brendan do Schaub show live streams watching UFC fight cards on his own? And just drink whiskey, get drunk, say some stupid shit and just keep moving. He'll probably do some good views. He'll probably do just as much of views as he's doing on with these other guys. It'll actually be quite funny. I think so. Yeah, Bisping, that's the one. Bisping. Sorry, thank you, Bisping. Bisping, yeah, Bisping. Michael Bisping, thank you. I think that would work really well if he did it by himself. If Brendan actually sat, even MMA Guru does it. Exactly. Big up my guy, MMA Guru. MMA Guru is fucking sick. Big up him. They do the same thing. That would do way better numbers and it'll be a way better vibe and a better show than this shit by getting these random people who don't know each other to sit around the table and try and watch a UFC fight. One guy doesn't know anything about UFC and one guy who's fucking a legit legend should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, and is an active fighter at the moment. It's like, what? What do you expect's gonna happen? Like, come on, man. Like, it's just a terrible idea, personally. And I'm still not sure that he's the best host for it anyway, personally. He's too much of a redact. He needs to kind of be let loose to say silly shit. There should be another person who's kind of like the host just for the show. But, Brendan has this thing about always being like in the middle and the head of the table and shit. Like even the flyer at the end. Like he's got something about him where he loves this shit. Like being like the guy, Like, I don't know. Just can't keep it up, man. Big up Austin Casey.
As do you remember back in the day years ago, whenever Brenda used to talk about American football, he would say it's a copycat league. He also used to say that about MMA sometimes. I think he knows he is a copy.
I think, yeah, I think he knows he's a copycat, so he sees copycats everywhere. No, I agree with you, for sure. Thank you for the $5 donation, brother. I appreciate that. You're right, Austin Casey. Maybe that is part of it. Maybe he does see the copycats everywhere and he can't do it. He can't move it on. But maybe you're right, man. Maybe you're definitely right, man. Big up Austin Casey. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. But yeah, man, what an awful show, personally. The Calabasas fight companion might be up there with the Schaub show in terms of a terrible... No, it's up... No, I take that back. Calabasas Fight Companion is just as bad as Food Truck Diary. But the reason why it's annoying is because Food Truck Diary has got the potential to be good. But the way it's filmed, the way it's put together, produced, it's just terrible. Same thing goes with the Calabasas Fight Companion. Get 2 people who are actually your friends to sit with you every week and then go from there. Then that might work. Or if you can't get somebody to sit with you that you know, then just do it by yourself. Fuck it. And just have Chin and the other guys chime in on the side. Or maybe have them sit down with you. Why doesn't Chin do a show with Brendan? Why doesn't Chin sit down with him side by side? He had the laptop, Brendan has the fucking drinks, and they just sit there and watch the fight. That'd be quite entertaining, I think. But hey, we don't matter. We don't matter. Moving on. Let's talk about this one. Sure, we're saying in the chat, sorry. I neglected the chat, I apologize. We're just saying here, it's while they removed the labels from the water so they wouldn't steal any of the shine from the rain energy. Really? I didn't notice that. What? Is Uche right here? Fuck off. No fucking way is that true. No fucking way. Did they remove? Oh, yeah. Holy shit, I didn't notice that. Big up Uche. Oh my god, I didn't notice that. They obviously couldn't have anybody get any ideas about having water instead of drinking rain. Honestly, I should have done a review. When I drank rain that time on stream, it tasted like fucking piss. It's so awful. It's just fucking sugar in a can. Like, at least with an energy drink, like, at least give me some flavor, man. Like, don't just hit me with sugar. Like, at least even Red Bull tastes like something. This just tastes like legit sugar in a can. It's so garbage. To be honest, I knew it would be terrible anyway from the logo. Maybe it's my design school flipping learnings coming through, but from time I saw the logo, I knew it would taste like shit. I knew it would taste like shit. I knew it. Yeah, exactly, same. Same me, sorry, I can't see your other name, but I had the same one. I had a watermelon. I tried it live on stream, and it was fucking horrible. I literally tried to sip and threw it away, and it cost me fucking £1.20. It's fucking annoying, man. It's so awful. But yeah, Uche is a legend. They removed the labels of the water bottles next to the rain. Oh, classic as well. Look at this. Look at the classic setup too. I just noticed. George JANKO, straight water. Dominic CRUZ, straight water. He's even taking, like, it looks like he's taking tablets. Maybe they're like Alpha Brain or vitamin tablets. Brendan Shaw, glass full of ice, whiskey, 2 energy drinks. Fucking hell. The only one there drinking. Maybe if everyone around you is not drinking, just don't drink also, innit? Just to kind of match the vibe of people sometimes. Just mix it up, be sure, from time to time. But again, that doesn't help with the show either, because, you know, you want to get loose, want to get a bit messy, and you got 2 guys here who are clearly looking after themselves, and then you, maybe, you know, not so much. Not the best, not the greatest, not the greatest. Anyway, moving on from there. Yeah, exactly. Jared Merrick. They just copied the table and the curtains, but the vibe isn't the same, which is somewhat kind of, you know, comforting to know that you can't just copy someone's show and think it's going to be the same thing. Anyway, continuing on. This is a classic clip. This is a clip that I think everybody's been waiting to hear and to see from me. Is definitely the one regarding Dr. Drew inquiring with the THICCC boys as to whether they've visited Joe Rogan's comedy mothership. And of course they haven't. But in this exchange, we do get some very interesting information that we weren't privy to. Number one, Rinks, old rape master himself, has been booked in to perform at the comedy mothership sometime in August. And judging by Brendan Schaub's reaction from the question from Dr. Drew, Brendan hasn't been invited and isn't due to get invited anytime soon. That's the interesting development I saw from that little exchange.
Good, everything.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hustling on the road, doing stand up.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just hustling through this
golden
crazy
age.
world.
Have you been to Rogan's new place in?
He just called me and
Austin.
asked me to come and do a weekend there.
People love
That's
it.
good.
So
the comedians love it more than anybody.
Have you been?
That was amazing. The first thing to give them credit for, it looks like Bryan and Brendan had a conversation. So Bryan's offer from Rogan to go and perform there, it wasn't like he found out about it on the show. Bryan told Brendan, hey, I'm going to be performing there, probably to let him down easy. But it's hilarious, the reaction. Brendan's face is fucking golden in this one.
Everything.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hustling on the road doing stand up.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just hustling through this
Golden
crazy
age.
world.
Have you been to Rogan's new place in?
He just.
It's like an involuntary, like, sadness.
He just.
And to me, this is the clearest indication we've ever seen, and I believe so, that my theory that their relationship has never been the same again ever since that bald guy slanging dick comment. In my opinion, their relationship has never recovered from that comment. Bald guy slanging dick comment fucked it up, and the final cherry on the cake, ironically enough, the Bobby Lee Kalila saga. That also made things a bit untenable, because I think that was one revelation. I think we spoke about already on stream before with some of you guys on stream chat. I think that was Joe Rogan's revelation, because I think he's really is in his own world. He definitely realized at that moment, oh, these fucking fucks are using my name to like intimidate other people. He didn't know that before. I'm pretty sure he didn't. It was all done kind of like hush-hushy, behind closed doors. If you say something, I'm going to fuck you up type of thing. And then he found out in real time, what? They're doing what with my name? They're saying what? He's okay, fuck this. And then he moved, and he hasn't looked back ever since. That's what I think's happened in this respect, personally for me. Because I feel like the Rogan of old, even if he does think, because I think, you know, we've got evidence of it, because I remember episodes of Brendan go on JRE just after he dropped You Be Surprised, and after he dropped, what's it called? Gringo Pappy. That Rogan doesn't think he's funny, because he doesn't really compliment him on his stand-up. He doesn't say, oh, you're really good, He just supports him as a friend. So I think the Rogan of before would have booked him at the Comedy Mothership just because he's his friend. But now, because of all that stuff that's happened in between, he can separate the friendship a little bit and judge him a little bit objectively and say, hey, you're just not cutting it to be on stage in my club. And if I put you up there, it's going to set a bad precedent that I just book anybody as long as they're my friend. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. But for sure, this is the clearest indication. This little, micro reaction he did was a clear indication of, clearest indication we've seen that the relationship isn't the same. Because usually Brendan is the first one to run to tell somebody him and Rogan are friends. I text every day. He fucking loves proving to everybody that he's friends with Rogan. And in this instance, he immediately turned to Bryan and said, no, Bryan, save me. Let's go again.
Did everything.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hustling on the road doing stand up.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just hustling through this
Golden
crazy
age.
world.
Have you been to Rogan's new place in?
He just called me
in
and
Austin.
asked me to come and do a weekend there.
People love
That's
it.
good.
So
the comedians love it more than anybody.
Have you been?
I've not been. We go there all the time to do your mom's house. We do it in Austin, and I'm going to go next time we're down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go there and you're
people
sold
rave
out
about
for the
it.
weekend, no matter what. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
By the way, I hate that comment at the end there. I'm not going to lie. That comment at the end really pissed me off. Because again, it's another example as to most of these comedians, weirdly enough, this is weird to say because this probably doesn't make any sense, but I think a lot of these people don't even like Joe. They legitimately use him for the clout. And because a lot of them complain these days, I've heard a few of them complain that they've gone on Joe Rogan and they haven't got as many followers as they did the first time they went. They didn't sell as many tickets. They legitimately only really are friends with him because of who he is. They actually don't really give a fuck about the guy, which is really funny because those other guys aren't really worth much anyway. Do you know what I mean? They're not the ones really putting their neck on the line and doing that show. Do you know, that's the funny thing. And the first thing that Bryan mentioned, it's going to be good to get in front of an audience, in front of Rogan's crowd. I've got some really good material I'm working on. No, he mentions if you go there, it's going to sell out every weekend just because you're going there. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah. If you go there and you're
people
sold
rave
out for
about
the
it.
weekend, no matter what. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Of course, that's the one thing. But again, I don't blame him either because the niggas paying like 25 grand or was it 20 grand a month or something in alimony. He's got to make his money somehow, money has to be made. He can't be relying on fucking CIA daddy for the rest of his life. He needs to kind of make his own way. So that makes a lot of sense. But again, if you're Rogan, it's got to be a bit of a bummer. You know what I mean? Like, no one's really your friend, really. Especially if they're comics. Because they either want to play at your club or they want to come on your podcast so they can fling more shitty fucking tickets for their shows.
I think you sold out like 9 months.
Good, everything.
But yeah, Brenda's... It's just funny though, because he spent... This is the thing that's funny, big for me. Because I feel like he spent too much time trying to be Rogan's friend, sucking up to Rogan and being happy and kind of showing off the fact that he's in the inner circle, and didn't spend enough time just doing the work. Because now Rogan's changed his approach to friendships and shit, and now he's left out there in the lurch. And I have to be honest, I kind of feel bad for the guy. I'm not gonna lie. As that comedy bit says that I posted on my flipping channel that somebody made, you know, Rogan made him quit UFC to pursue stand up. Then he goes and does stand up. And then Rogan won't book him to his new club. I'd be pissed if I was Brendan. I'd be so angry. I'd be so mad. Like, legit. He invites you on his show all the time. You're the fucking #1 guest on there with the most appearances. Blah, blah, blah. And then he doesn't let you perform. Come on. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have that. I'd be so annoyed. Like, he doesn't stock your whiskey. Even though Texas is your biggest market. And also he won't let you perform at his club. Cold world. Cold world. But yeah, big up Dr. Drew. And big up those guys there for trying to make it happen. You know what? Oh yeah, another thing also. It looks like Wings has arrived in London. Wings is here in my city. Wings is in my city, mate. It's fucking hilarious to think that a guy the size of Wings is walking around London trying to find his way. But yeah, it looks like Wings has arrived. According to his Twitter, let me try and get it up on here. Wings has arrived in the old London town. Look at that picture. If it loads here, Wings has arrived in London. Oh, that's not the right one. But yeah, Wings has arrived in London. As you can see here from his tweet. What town is this? You can see the buses and shit. It looks like, if I'm not mistaken, Wings could be in, if I'm going to guess area-wise, I'm going to say South London. It looks like he could be near, what's that place called? Where the markets are. Borough Market. It looks like it could be around there. But I could be mistaken. But yeah, Wings of Redemption is in London. Yeah, we're saying need a collab. Yeah, bro, you know to meet him. That'd be amazing to say, Wings, I love you, man. You're the best. Wings is in London, man. He's in London. But I think I'm gonna stream the fight actually. I have to do a live stream for the fight. I have to do a live stream for the fight. I have to. So be prepared for the live stream for the fight. I'll do that on here. But yeah, Wings is in London, man. Wings Tings is in London. Big up the Wings Nator. Big him up, big him up, big him up. Let's see actually the comments of this post. Let's see what people are saying about it. But yeah, Wings is in London. I'll see what he's doing. What's the vibe? What's he saying? Let's scroll down here. Wait for it to load a bit. Of people saying, yeah, you guys are about to have a regional shortage of fish and chips. Just touched down in London town, exactly. He says here, outside. Oh yeah, he's outside Victoria. Yeah, that's it. Victoria. See, I knew it was south. Yes, I got it. My geography, my knowledge is A1. He was in South, yeah, see, in Victoria. A bit far from Borough, but still, you know, I'll give myself credit. Food review of Greg's Pimp. Oh, if Wings does a food review of Greg's, that'll be so good. Hopefully he does. Gotta go Greg's Onion, Cheese and Onion, downtown Conway. None of these people know that they're in the presence of the man himself, exactly. But yeah, big up Wings, then. Big up Wings. Can't wait to see him soon. Oh, let me get a tissue quickly. Bear with me 1 sec. 1 secundo. Oh, God. Okay, cool. Let's continue. So, next thing I want to talk about quickly, I want to show here is actually, let's check this out. Have you guys seen the documentary for the fight? I want to watch that. It's only come out 8 days ago, but I haven't actually seen it yet. It's the one by made by what's his face? Made by Keemstar. Let's see what he's saying here. Super Jonah says tissue equals snow. No, not tonight, mate. Not tonight. Maybe on the weekend. but not during the weekdays, not during a work week, Super Jello. We don't do that stuff during the work week. We leave that for the weekends. We want to get a little bit leery. You feel me? But on the weekday, we don't do none of that stuff. Anyway, let's continue. Let's play this clip. £800, one ring, Wings of Redemption v Boogie. Let's see what the deal is on here. Hope it's not too depressing. Big up Drama Alert. Big up Keemstar.
This is Wings of Redemption. And this is Boogie 2988. And if you know either one of these individuals,
yes, Austin KC, my allergies are acting up. What else do you think it is, hey? Are you trying to besmirch my good name? Are you trying to cast aspersion on me that are not, you know, centered in any kind of fact? Please do not besmirch my name. The tissues are from my allergies. My allergies are in my tissues. Nothing else, nothing more, my kind sir. Okay?
I don't have to convince you to watch this documentary. I know you're watching every second. But if you don't know them, let me explain to you why a simple tweet that I put...
Am I the only person that thinks like Keem has one of the most annoying accents in the world? Like how he pronounces things. Like he has such a... does it make sense? Keemstar has a punchable accent. You know, people have punchable faces. He has a punchable accent. He sounds like such a fucking... What's that thing called? Like a CALLSON. Like a fucking hormoner, innit? Like... No? Is it just me?
I don't have to convince you to watch this documentary. I know you're watching every second. But if you don't know them...
If you don't know them... This is the news. It's like, fuck off.
Let me explain to you why a simple tweet that I put out suggesting that we were in talks to have these two box each other went absolutely viral, getting 5 million views.
Why the fuck is this happening? Because it's a circus event. I mean, I'll be honest, I'll probably watch it. I am very curious to see how this unfolds. These are two lol cows. You have to keep that in mind. And they know that. They're self-aware. But winning this fight is a huge step in a direction away from a lol cow.
I disagree, by the way. Whoever wins will not be a lol cow for a brief period, but then they'll return to their lol cow ways. Because lol cows will always lol cow.
Hey guys, it's me, Francis, and a user by the name of COD Nuke 360 420 asked me today if I would show off my Nerf collection. That's right, just dance, gonna be okay. Go.
What kind of who finds this type of stuff funny? He did pretty well with this Francis stuff, you know. Boogie. I don't understand who finds this stuff entertaining or funny in the slightest, man. But it definitely was a period in time, innit? Maybe it didn't age the greatest, but I never found this funny. Even when it was popular, I've always, I was always the cool person, always kind of, what's the thing called? I was always counterculture.
Fuck yourself!
Boogie started his career on YouTube making France's videos, a character he played that would rage, smash the Christmas tree, smash an Xbox or something. He even had this one video where he acted like he was hacked in World of Warcraft. It went absolutely viral, getting a shout out from Ray William Johnson at the time.
Ooh, not Ray William Johnson.
However, as he was making these Francis videos, he was getting insecure because the comments were all thinking that's who he really was.
Hey guys, it's me, Francis. I know I look weird right now. It's because I got my camera mount set up here.
So Boogie started making different videos, covering all different topics on the internet, showing the...
Somehow he's still fat, but he has lost a lot of weight, innit? It's kind of crazy, innit? He's lost a lot of weight, but he's still fat as fuck. But Jesus Christ, man. There has to be some sort of like... What's that word called? I'm looking at the term, trying to figure in my head. I wonder if there's a little bit of what's that one called? I'm thinking like an embarrassment kink or something that some of these guys have when you're locals. Like you actually don't mind being like the butt of the joke. It's actually part part of what kind of makes it fun for you. Because for me, if that was me and I was going through what they were going through, it would take a toll on me mentally, where I'd be like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm out, because it makes me feel bad, it makes me feel horrible. But they kind of revel in it. They kind of like especially Boogie is a big example of it. He's super manipulative. Like, you wouldn't think about it looking at him, but he's incredibly manipulative. I just listened to his podcast recently on Side Scrollers. And if you didn't know anything about his history, you'd think he was just a decent dude with a bit of bad luck. But if you actually do your research on Boogie, like, he's actually a pretty terrible human being. You know what I mean? But it's quite crazy to see, man, really.
Audience, that he wasn't actually the Francis person.
A lot of you say that I inspire you, and I think that's amazing. But there's somebody out there who inspires me, and his name is Diamond Dallas Page.
Unfortunately, by oversharing who he really was, it opened him up to even more bullying online.
Validated so much of the pain.
How did this nigga get married? Honestly. I don't get it. Holy shit.
That has been inside of me.
For example, many of these bullies would constantly make up rumors that his wife at the time was cheating on him. And then when he publicly announced that they were getting a divorce, that was the fuel that the bullies need to go in full force.
It was pretty great being public with that because we shared all of the really good parts of our life. But just like anywhere else or anyone else on social media, I did not show the bad times, and our marriage was far from perfect.
Over the last decade, the bullying got so extreme and so insane that one of these bullies showed up at Boogie's house to harass
at Boogie's house and harass. Like, honestly, why does he talk like that? One of these bullies showed up at Boogie's house? Why is it like, come on, Keem, bruh? Like, at least try and be a little bit cool. Come on.
Him in real life. Boogie came out with a firearm and shot a warning shot.
Fire the warning shot now.
To scare the bully away.
Oh yeah, who's the guy? Who was his name again? Big up that guy. What was his name? Who did that to him again? Do you guys remember in the chat? Epic troll, legendary troll. What's his name? He's part of the whole He's part of the whole. What's that thing called? Is it IRL community? What's it called? Is it IRL? Frank Castle. Yeah, that's the one. Big up Aryan privilege. Thank you, Frank Castle. Big up Frank Castle. That whole crew of guys. What's actually that dude doing now? What's that guy's name? Not Ice Poseidon. The other one. He's called like a mountain. He's called something. Is it Arkansas? What's his fucking name with the fucking Mohican? What's he up to these days? Is he still alive? Is he still streaming? Is it Arkansas? What the fuck's his name? Not Greek, no. He's got a Mohican. Died. It does like live streaming and shit. Not disrespect, no, not him. The one that was in, I think he was at Jan 6. He might have been at the Jan 6. He might have been at the fucking building. I forgot his name. That's it, Baked Alaska. Thank you, Eddie D. Baked Alaska. What's happened with Baked Alaska? Is he still streaming? Does he still do his thing? I haven't seen him on socials in a while. He'd always go viral here and there, but I've not seen him being posted in a long time. Or maybe he's been banned everywhere. What's Baked Alaska doing these days? I actually need to check out what fucking thing he's doing, actually. What's his face? Really? He's fighting Mersh? No way. No way. That's a lie. Baked Alaska is fighting Mersh from Revenge of the Sis. I refuse to believe that. Mersh, Revenge of the Sis. No fucking way. No fucking way. Is he here? Where is he? There we go. Revenge Assist Radio. Oh no! Okay, cool. Oh yeah. I saw the video. Okay, thanks, Coiler. Okay, I saw the video where he bullies Thingamajiggy as Keem will say, bullies. Yeah, he bullied him on the street. I remember seeing that. Okay, cool. I thought you meant they were actually having a boxing fight. I was about to say, there's no way fucking Mersh would agree to that. He's way too scared about that. Okay, cool. So Revenge Assist is on Rumble now. That's probably why I don't see them on YouTube too often. But yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the fucking thing.
But instead, Boogie got arrested for shooting the gun in city limits.
For those of you wondering why I haven't been in social media, it is
Yeah, Super Jello, I'm no Jamie, mate, when it comes to Googling. I'm no Jamie. Let's say that.
because I was in fact charged because of that incident that happened last September when a stalker came to my house.
Even with all this, Boogie's done pretty good financially on the YouTube platform. But after a divorce and after losing a lot of money in crypto, currently Boogie's on the verge of
Imagine not being embarrassed to do this. Like, I'm rich and then 3 months later, help me. Imagine not being embarrassed. Imagine not having shame. That's probably one of the ingredients you need actually to be a successful locale. Have no shame, have no sense of embarrassment whatsoever. Because I could never, man. Help me. Really? Just go get a job, innit? Like, it's not that difficult. Or just sell your stuff. I don't know. Like, what do you want from people? Leave people alone.
losing his home.
But I put my money in the crypto market in the wrong section, and I pretty much lost most of everything. That sucks.
Sounds like a you problem,
really
mate.
sucks. It is what it is, though. I mean, like, I've come to terms with it, but I need to get back to work. I have some savings, but they're going quickly. And if I don't start live streaming and making content and getting ad revenue and stuff again, I'm going to lose everything. And I definitely do not want to do that.
And we had A and B, and they were trapped at C. And I got back there with a Winchester 1200, and the guy would just keep spawning there. I ended up killing him 27 times because somebody kept popping up there.
Wings of Redemption was one of the first Call of Duty YouTubers.
You know what's funny about Wings? The lore that I love the best about Wings? There was a period in time before he would put the face cam on where he pretended to be a black guy. He pretended to be black. Like, he actually pretended like he was a black guy. That's the best thing I love about Wings. He was so sad in his everyday life that he created these different personas for himself behind the screen when he's playing COD. And he lied about what he looked like. He lied about being jacked, how tall he was. Like, people could hear it, unfortunately, with the internet, innit? People could hear, you know, as he would say, the bitch in his voice, right? The bitch in his blood. They could hear it, that, you know I don't know why, but people can hear if you're fat through your voice or some shit. Maybe it's the way you say your B's or something. I don't know. But they just knew it wasn't real. But he would legitimately pretend to be. That's my favorite bit of Wings' lore. He pretended to be black at one point. Imagine Wings thought he was Jerome. Wings was Tyrone. Ty Wings. Legend.
And at the time, everybody had horrible quality videos using a capture device known as a dazzle. Wings had a huge advantage over his competitors because he had a Hauppauge HD, and his video quality was much better. He would upload videos to YouTube with his Call of Duty gameplays and then tell life stories over them.
Imagine being one of the first people to do that and you're still begging for tips online. That's the thing that's a real sad thing about this whole issue. Most of these guys, Wings of Redemption, Darkside Phil, Boogie2998, they were all first on these platforms. They were one of the first few content creators actually making a lot of content on these platforms for the first time. So they were on YouTube when the money was crazy good. And they still weren't able to kind of siphon some of that off in savings and have some sort of exit plan. They're still on here doing the same shit. Like, that's the sad bit about it. Like, maybe starting from now and then begging for tips is one thing. It's still shameful, but okay, I understand. Do what you have to do to pay your bills. But it's the fact that they've been on these platforms since the beginning, since its inception, and they haven't got an exit plan. That's the sad thing about it, to be fair. And now they're having to fly over to London to fight for 10 grand. I said it before. Like, they're getting bumped. Keemstar is actually ripping them off, to be fair. I'm not gonna lie. He's paying them allegedly $10,000. Obviously, he's paying for the flights and their accommodation, but $10,000 is not a lot of money. And London's a very expensive city. London's similar to, like, you know, having to fight in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be paying minimum, you know, $10 for every meal you're eating, maybe more. Sorry, much more, especially including drinks and shit. And these guys like to eat. So they're getting only 10 grand for a boxing fight, but they need the money. That's why they're taking the fight. Like, that's horrible, man. Exactly. They should be on at least 50K each, at least minimum. 10 grand's gonna go like that, especially with their outgoings. But so they don't have self to blame.
Oh man, I'm back and I'm here to save you from some dull commentary. It's your boy Wings of Redemption.
Wings became so successful that he became a machinima director, which was a big deal back in the day.
I think people think I have this anger issue. I don't have anger issues.
He was so successful that he started a podcast known as PKA with FPS.
And the fact that he got kicked off this podcast is so sad also. He was such a nightmare to deal with. He was so annoying. They kicked him off the podcast. And the podcast is still doing bits now. It's still making tons of money and whatnot. And he has to fight in London for 10 grand.
Kyle and Woody's gamer tag. From the podcast, Wings was known for his crazy tags.
Because I like the guy to have a pretty penis too.
Shock jock.
Not it again. Wings of Redemption.
His career was only going up. But then he had a 1v1 Call of Duty match versus a zombies player known as Tom Syndicate. Now, Tom Syndicate played zombies, right? He didn't even play against real people. And Wings of Redemption was known as a Call of Duty god. So this was going to be an easy win for Wings.
Nope.
I'm just glad you're playing, because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that would not play. That was just like,
I probably won't be on Painkiller Ready again. I broke my controller.
You broke your controller?
Yeah, keep fucking laughing.
After the devastating loss against Tom Syndicate in the 1v1 Call of Duty,
Fuck! Why the fuck you stream that shit?
Wings of Redemption's career started going into a major decline. He was no longer known as a good Call of Duty player, but even though his career was on the decline, he still had a wildly successful podcast on PKA. Until Woody's Gamertag and FPS Kyle and Wings decided to do a PKA camping trip. They were supposed to all meet in the woods and try to survive on absolutely nothing for like 48 hours. Woody's Gamertag showed up, FPS Kyle showed up, Wings did not show up.
That was the beginning of the end.
Woody and Kyle were so upset that Wings didn't show up that they kicked him off his own podcast.
He just doesn't fucking come. He just doesn't fucking come. And it's now it's just me and Woody in the woods. Now.
After this, his videos stopped getting less views and he didn't even have his podcast anymore. So in order to make ends meet, he had to stream video games to make money.
Keemstar's enjoying this. I think DSP was right. Darkside Phil was kind of right not to get in business with Keemstar, because Keemstar's enjoying the fact that he's the provider of these guys' meals. He's gonna be like giving them an allowance every day, like counting out the money. $10, $20, $30. He's enjoying this so much, the sound of his voice. He loves seeing people fuck up their lives. Oh, Keemstar's fucking a legend, I swear.
Look here! Look, listen!
Then the audience got to see the real Wings of Redemption.
I've wanted it so fucking bad,
man.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Raging and freaking out because he lost in a video game.
Done with this shit, son. I'm so done with this shit. I fucking hate Call of Duty so fucking bad.
Wings has been stuck in the last decade of a horrible loop of bullying and harassment. Wings and Boogie have a lot in common. First of all, they're both fat, weighing in at like 400.
He said it was such happiness. They're both fat.
Boogie have a lot in common. First of all, they're both fat, weighing in at like 400 pounds each. Both of them had weight loss surgery, you know, like a rubber band on their stomach so they couldn't eat as much. They both lost a bunch of weight and then gained it all back.
Imagine getting your stomach cut to make it smaller. You lose weight and then you gain it all back. So you I'd rather just be fat from the start. Just be fat from the start. Don't cut my stomach and then I get fat after. That's just like pain for the sake of it. It's just honestly, absolute legends. Oh.
Both Wings and Boogie were some of the first creators on the platform.
And also, isn't it fun?
And then gained it all back.
Don't you find it funny that, if I'm not mistaken, Boogie is in his 50s, Wings is in his 30s, but looking at them, they look the same age, don't they? That's what ordering DoorDash every day does to you, and drinking Pepsi. They look the same age. I'm sure Wings is in his 30s and Boogie's like 50 something. He has to be. Pretty crazy.
Both Wings and Boogie were some of the first creators on the platform. Wings starting in 2008, Boogie starting in 2006.
Fucking
They
hell.
both had a thriving career, and now their careers in the pits.
Okay, so listen.
There's a man.
all right? Misfit Boxing is KSI's company. It's huge. It's massive. Like 8 or 10 events a year. Millions and millions of fans. And as you know, I have been setting up boxing matches behind the scenes for years. Right here on this show on Drop Alert. And currently, a bunch of my fighters over at Happy Punch fight on Misfits. I have a good relationship with them. So Mams Taylor over at Misfit Boxing asks Happy Punch, myself, to set up the prelims for the next KSI pay-per-view event. If you don't know what prelims are, they're like the fights that you get to watch for free before the pay-per-view starts. I say yes, but I want complete creative control. And they tell me you can set up any 4 fights you want. Anyone. This is my moment. I have to break the internet. I have to set up a fight that you can't even refuse not to watch it. So of course, I go for Boogie and Wings because this is so impossible. Like, this fight can never happen. There's like so many obstacles. First of all, Boogie is a giant pussy. No, he is. He's never been in a fight in his life. He's constantly apologizing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Like, what? The idea of him fighting someone physically? No way. It's not happening. Wings of Redemption doesn't leave his mobile home. He lives in a trailer and he is not leaving it. All right. He was supposed to go to PKA on that camping trip. Did he show up? No. On top of that, in order to do a boxing match, you got to get approved by a doctor. You got to get your medicals done. All right. They need to make sure you're healthy enough to actually do a boxing match. These two soda drinking like whales are probably the most unhealthy people on all of YouTube. And on top of that, these guys got bullies, trolls, people that harass them on a daily basis, and their haters have been trying to get them put on a do not fly list ever since this ever started.
Hold on. Some random... I love my comments. I love my comments so much, man. And I never ever, unlike fucking Brendan and other people there, I never delete a single one. Don't care what you say. Say the maddest things you want. You can never offend me. This person posted on the clip I uploaded of King Charles III and Camilla's coronation. The person posted, Agostino, ... I could be really racist and insult you for your messages on this video, but I would not stoop to an even lower level than the crap you are espousing. Fucking hell. What did I do to that person? They said my first name in a comment. Agostino. I could be really racist. Like, ouch. Honestly, people are so mean. What did I say that was wrong? Come on. Anyway, let's continue.
I'm not joking. But the biggest challenge for these two are the medicals. I needed to get these guys in shape. I started talking to them in February to make this thing happen, and I've been calling them every single day to make sure they're not drinking soda, to make sure that they're like doing some sort of cardio, that they're punching a bag. And they would tell me that they're losing weight. They would tell me that they're exercising, but I didn't believe them. I had to see it for myself.
Mike, are you rolling now?
Just hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about 2 minutes out from being the first YouTubers ever to go to Wings of Redemption's house. And let me tell you, I'm on the edge of my seat literally driving to this thing. I don't know if I'm pulling up to a mansion or a double wide. The rumor on the street is we're pulling up to a double wide though.
Stop. Dude, I've never been more excited in my life. I've done a lot of things, but this might be my favorite day of all time. I'm super... I don't even know what to say.
The myth.
Does that nigga sit in a car like that? Actually, unironically, or is he being funny? He's sitting in the car like he's in the classroom or something. Why is he doing that?
Of all time, I'm super... I don't even know what to say.
The myth, the man, the
wings.
legend.
The Wings of Redemption.
Of Redemption. Oh my God, we're getting so close.
Bro, this is like meeting Santa for me. He's like a mythical. This is the first YouTuber I ever watched for Call of Duty. This is my hero.
I've never seen you more excited than right now.
Bro, I'm a pretty excited guy, but this might be a top 3 for me too.
This is pretty nice. The house next to it is way nicer.
Well, he said he was getting a new roof.
This one needs a new roof. Yeah, this one needs one. That one is.
Are you sure this is it?
This is what it looked like when I pulled it up.
Okay.
Open the door.
But there is an exercise bike on the porch.
Well.
There is, and there's neon lights back there. You can see them.
Oh, that's him.
LED lights.
Oh, dude.
There's the mobile home. It's pretty nice for a mobile home, to be fair. People take the piss out of him on the internet, but it's a pretty nice place, to be fair. Not too bad. Look, still loads of greenery, nice and big and wide, all one level, no stairs.
Yeah, hold on, wait. Be serious for a second. Be cool. I don't want to know. Yeah, what's up, Wings?
What's up, bro?
Yeah, what's going on?
Dude, can I get a photo like right off the bat?
Can I get a picture? He does want to punch your face. I don't know why.
So.
Jesus. Yo, big up, Richie. Appreciate it for 10
Charles
minutes.
said it after you called Camilla the best side chick come up in the world, and saying she was happy on the throne and Charles looked miserable.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, there we go, Richie. Okay. Because sometimes I forget the insulting things I say. So I guess me calling Camilla the side chick of the century, if you're a fan of the royal family, wouldn't go that well. Okay, fair enough. That person's allowed to be racist to me then. If I say something bad about your queen, you can call me a nignog. All right? It's allowed. No problem. Richie.
Boogie's basically been saying that, you know, he's definitely going to win this, that you can't stand up more than 45 seconds.
That's a lot.
These are 2-minute rounds.
Hold on. Rewind it. Is he wearing mechanic gloves under his boxing gloves? He doesn't have wraps. Yeah, he's. You gotta love Big. You know Wings.
I don't know why.
So Boogie's basically been saying that, you know.
That's a lot.
These are 2-minute rounds. Are you going to make it through these rounds easy as far as conditioning?
The first one, yeah. I figured, you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I figured the first one is going to be, I'm going to be exhausted by the end of the first round, and then it's going to be a hug-a-thon.
Yeah. A lot of clinching.
Yeah, a lot of clinching, a lot of hugs. But honestly, I'm hoping to get it out before 30 seconds.
Footwork is amazing.
30 seconds.
Are you seeing this? Holy shit, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? I swear to God, are you seeing this? Please. Wherever you are for 2 seconds, look at this.
Footwork is amazing.
Oh shit! Pretty quick on the jab too. Really quick jab.
Got up nice.
Ooh, those are
Oh, God almighty, mate. Jesus Christ.
Ow! power in these dudes.
Yo, big up Richie.
The
Appreciate it.
racist comment was all the jewels on those crowns? How many people died for those jewels? Families ripped apart. Agostinho, you are the next Harry to flee the UK.
Richie, okay, cool. Richie keeps providing more and more evidence as to why that person was justified to, nearly insult me with a racist comment. Every comment, Richie keeps clarifying. He's clarifying why I might have to be excommunicated from this country. But big up, Richie, I appreciate you. And again, further example as to why maybe that person was justified. Oh my god, that's amazing, man. Where those jewels come from? Blood diamond jewels. Okay, cool. Okay, I get it. Camilla, baby, wherever you are, I'm sorry. Apologies.
Go, keep going. Let's go for the cardio. Dude, I would not want to be getting hit with these things. That's some power on those shots.
Jesus Christ, he's got a crazy fupa, innit? Fucking hell. Like,
dude, I would not want to be getting hit with these things.
Like, all of that is just like, what? That's just like, what, his belly? This stuff here. That is fucking wild, bro. You know what's funny, though? Wings is built in a way like, he looks quite tall and quite wide. Like, if he actually lost weight and got into shape, he actually looked really good. He's actually got an actual good frame, but it's like he's got 4 tits. 1, 2, 3, no, 6, 2, 4, 6. Like, does he have to legitimately lift up his stomach to see his pee-pee? Like, to pull it out to piss? Fucking hell, mate.
That's some power on those shots.
Oh shit!
Bro, it's tough to throw shots for life. Here comes a super hard one, alright? It's gonna be tough. Touch the jaw, chin down. There it comes, alright? 1, 2.
Why are you doing this fight? Why did you agree to it?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah.
The honest answer is savings. Like, I want my savings is not where I want it to be, and I want more money to put into savings. Like, I don't want to get into the strategy of it.
Don't tell us your strategy. Just, what, round 1, round 2, KO, TKO, you toss them out of the ring.
There is no strategies. They'll both get into the ring. They'll get fucking stage fright. The lights will be too bright, and they'll just have loads of adrenaline. They'll gas out after 30 seconds, and it'll just be a horror show after that. There will be no tactics. There's no tactics in this fight. They'll be lucky to both be standing after the second round. That's literally what happened. They're going to both get in there. They're going to be closing their eyes, swinging. They're going to get really tired, and that's going to be it. Do you think someone's going to die? I don't think so. They're the type of people that are going to live long lives, despite how destructive they are to their own body. Wings and Boogie are going to be around for a long time, for sure. They're going to outlive most of us. That's the sad part about it. They've got that kind of luck. They're not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
How you feeling?
It's going to be a knockout. It's either going to be a TKO or a knockout. It all depends. Most likely, I figure the ref's going to stop it. So I think I don't hit hard enough to put Boogie completely out. But I hit hard enough to put him down. And, like, can Boogie get up? I mean, Boogie's 48 years old. He's on disability a fifth of his life. He's probably got some type of arthritis. Like, if I put him down once, can he get up and
Technically, isn't Wings on disability too? He doesn't leave his house. Technically. Yo, big up the Clipper. Appreciate you, brother.
Wings looks like the white Agostinho, change my mind.
Wings looks like the white Agostinho. As in you mean I'm as fat as Wings? I don't think so. I'm fat myself, but I'm not as fat as that guy. He's on another level. No way, shape, or form. He would, no way, shape, or form. He actually might fuck me up though. If I trip and he falls on me, it's a wrap. Like, you better airbrush my face on a t-shirt. Airbrush my face on a t-shirt. If I trip over and he falls on top of me, airbrush my face on a t-shirt, launch a GoFundMe and shit, it's a wrap.
seconds? I don't know.
For all you that said Wings of Redemption ain't gonna do it, it's getting done! There it is!
Now it's all up to Boogie 2988. Arkansas, here we come. And ladies and gentlemen, we're now at the site of the pistol shot.
The scene of the crime.
The scene of the crime. We are talking about Mountain Dew drinking Boogie 2988. Oh my God, that's it!
Yeah, that's it.
That is it.
This is gonna be fun.
Imagine if someone did die though. That would be pretty funny. No? Are we allowed to say that's funny, or should we pretend we're gonna care? If someone does die though, wouldn't that be fucking hilarious? They go to London chasing after 10 grand. That's probably gonna end up being like 6,000 by the time they get back home. Maybe even less after all the fees. And then they fucking don't even get back home to enjoy it. Imagine they die on on Keem's promotion and Keemstar still survives. That's the thing that's going to be really funny about it. One of them dies and Keemstar still makes millions. He's like a cockroach. He never leaves. He just survives again.
Oh my fucking God. That's where Frank Castle harassed the fuck out of Boogie.
And he pulled out a gun from like the 1800s.
Dude!
He was gonna rob a stagecoach with it.
Let's see where he shot. Oh my God, he shot at a neighborhood. Mike, look, he shot the gun that way in the air. Jesus. He could have killed someone.
Lovely house again, isn't it? They both got pretty nice houses, isn't it? Legit. They both got pretty decent houses. 2-car garage and shit. Lovely.
That's good. We got that.
Well, yeah, Ucha said that Boogie's is way nicer. Which house do you guys prefer? Maybe because I'm not American. I don't know. I got that kind of idyllic sort of like country, you know, fishing, shooting type of idea with Wings' house. I actually prefer to live in Wings' house if I could choose out of both. From each option, I'd actually prefer Wings' house because it's out in nature. You could go to the lake, you could fish, you could hunt. It'd be pretty decent. I know it looks a little bit trailer trashy, but I kind of like how rough it kind of looks, you know? What do you guys think? What do you prefer, Wings or Boogie's house? Too many but Wings lives in a trailer. Yeah, but I don't know, it looks like a like a designer trailer. I kind of like it. It's a designer trailer. It's a fixer-upper. One tornado and you're done. Yeah, true. That's probably I like it. Like, it looks like a house, like, I don't know. Like, you own the land. You know? Boogie from Arkansas. AZ Pawpaw. Exactly, yeah. I connected that super jello. Somehow they get female in both. Wings, Boogie worth 100k more. But okay, fair enough. I think everyone prefers Boogie's house, if it seems like.
Hey, Wings. I finished my pizza. Now I'm ready for wings. Ooh.
Because this is two 400-pound men who have effectively, I'm sorry, Jordy, but we've effectively ruined our own lives. We've ruined our own bodies, right? We've ruined our own careers. And this is us fighting for our lives, fighting for our careers, fighting for our respect, fighting for ourselves. I mean, there's a bag involved, and that's great, but that's not why either of us is doing this. I hope not, okay?
No, you're doing it for the money. Let's not turn this into some motivational self-peaks, you know, nonsense. Like, you're doing this for the money. Let's be real.
It really comes down to the fact that I think you're going to see two desperate men who are desperate for relevance, desperate to get better, desperate to get healthy, desperate to be better people.
Desperate for money.
People fighting it out in the ring. That's why I'm doing it. That's, you know, and if I have to go through Jordy to get to a better life, if I have to go through Jordy to get stronger, to get better, to get healthier, I'm going right through them. It's taken every ounce of character and strength I have to actually go through with this. My brain is constantly telling me this is dangerous, this is scary, back out, back out, back out. There's no backing out, right? I'm going through with it, and when I go through with it, I hope I earn some community respect, but I think the respect that I'm really going to earn is mine. That's who needs to learn a little bit of respect, right? Like, that's the thing that I've always been afraid of, man. I've been afraid of doing dangerous things. I've been afraid of doing crazy things. I sought comfort, and that comfort became my prison.
I like how they're both holding pets as well during the whole thing. It's like typical YouTuber shit, and it feels bad for me. I'm holding a pet. Feel bad for me.
Right? I've not been taking the risks that a human is supposed to take, and this is making up for that.
And if you die in that ring,
then what a way to go, man. Right? Like, we all want to die fighting. We all want to die a warrior. We all want to die fighting for our health, our life, the people we love, our self-respect. You got to die of something. Would it be better to die in the ring or die?
Big up Keemstar though. This is a good video. His annoying punchable accent aside, and you know his issues. This is a decent video. To be fair, this is a really good video. He put a really good trailer together. To be fair, because I'm kind of hyped for the fight. I want to see someone die in that ring. I want to see the ring fall or something. Something has to happen, man. Come on, give us a moment.
In one of these fucking chairs sitting around this house playing video games. What's the better way to go? If I have to die, it'll be a part of YouTube legacy to die in that ring.
Moment of truth. Boogie's got the contract.
All legal shit. I don't even know what you need to say.
The Tom's excited.
I get paid if I sign this. That's what I get. That's what I get paid.
It's happening! May 13th, London.
Pay me.
Boogie 2988 versus Wings of Redemption. It's happening, people.
So look, I go to Wings and Boogie's house. They're both exercising. They both actually lost weight, and they both signed the contract. And I'm going to be honest. Look, I had fun at both of their houses. We've had some laughs. Roll it.
Wings, were you doing donuts with that chair? Like, what is that circle right there?
I used to have my setup over here.
Oh, okay.
And that's from just years of gaming.
That's so intense. I need to know what created that motion.
Gentlemen, he's been doing donuts in this thing. How many chairs have you gone through?
2.
2? That's it?
2.
What's the brand, by the way?
This is a Serta. I Work Comfort. It's a 24-hour chair. It costs about $800.
Damn.
They need to sponsor.
Yeah.
Put a hole in the goddamn ground.
Jesus Christ. It's like this in a trap, isn't it? Fucking hell, Wings.
That was the old chair. I remember when I threw the old chair away, I went through, somebody said I've had relationships that didn't last as long and was as strong as that
chair. What is all this?
This is my haunted house stuff. You see this out every year, man. We got a boogeyman number 1, we got boogeyman number 2, we got Pumpkinhead, we got all the tombstones. Wait.
Boogie, why is there a hole in your ceiling?
Oh, because my ex-wife fell through it. Yeah, she was up there doing attic stuff, you know? And
was she hiding up there with the guy she was fucking?
Yeah, she was hiding up there with McJuggernuggets. You remember that? You know, she was like, can I get a little head?
I'm done. He's doing it.
That's that Caucasian humor again, eh? Don't attack me. That's that Caucasian humor. Howdy ha ha.
Kelly doesn't fall over in the wheelbarrow. Thank you.
Got a flat tire.
Fucking hell, man.
Flat tire on it.
Then it looks like you're pulling the kayak.
Hold the wheelbarrow. Dude, you try this.
Fucking all breasts, no legs, isn't it, Kelly, mate? All breasts, no fucking legs. Kelly is all breasts, no fucking legs.
Got a flat tire.
Jesus Christ.
Then it looks like you're pulling the kayak.
Kelly out here built like a triangle.
Girl, dude, you tried it.
So, what are you doing? You're shadow boxing?
No, man. I'm hunting flies, buddy.
Why?
Because flies got wings, King.
It's a dead limb. We will do that.
That's gonna be Buggy's phone.
What just happened?
Boogie, what happens when you get hit for real, though?
What? I get hit for real in this thing. Ow! Stop! Stop! Stop!
Bro, this man is incredibly strong. I don't know if you guys know this. I weigh 220 pounds. This thing underneath me weighs over 350 pounds.
Oh, look at her bouncing too. She's excited.
Yeah, but it's not. No.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Lower, lower. Come on, we ain't breaking ribs today. There we go.
He's probably getting. He's probably getting a little chub on as well. You know, he's probably getting a little stiffy off of this.
I can't even feel your ribs.
They're in there somewhere.
Are you sure?
Yuck.
Sure.
110%.
I seen the video of Kelly hitting you with the pads, but she didn't have gloves on.
Yeah, it's impromptu. I seen Boogie's bullshit ass video, and he's all like, "I'm gonna knock you out one punch," and I'm like, "Dog, you never been in a fight in your life."
All right, let's see it. Let's see it. It's go time.
How you like your wings?
What do you mean?
How you like your wings?
I like them dead.
How you like your wings?
Double cheese.
How you like your wings?
I like them spicy.
How you like your wings?
Spicy.
What
Charlie.
about sauce?
I said I like them
What
spicy.
about barbecue sauce?
Charlie.
What? What are you doing?
Okay, so we still have a major obstacle in our way. Their medicals. They need to pass a medical exam.
How do I turn this up?
What's up, player?
Did you pass your medicals?
Yeah, I passed.
Yes! Did Boogie reach out to you at all?
No, yes. No.
I'm gonna call him right now. Good shit, Wings. Good shit, Wings.
All right, bud.
Keemstar looks like the guy that you meet in the hostel, isn't it? He looks like the guy you meet in the hostel. This is the archetypal hostel guy that you meet. That's always trying to hit on the fucking 19-year-old Scandinavian girls. That's got stories for days, but most of them are made up. Always asking you for money to buy drinks and shit. Like, he's definitely the guy that you meet in a hostel. If you go backpacking, you'll definitely come across a Keemstar looking type of dude. Exactly, Coiler. Exactly. You guys want some coke? Doesn't have coke or cigarettes. Exactly. Exactly. You guys after a good time? Has no good times, no recommendations, no links, no nothing. He gets in the bar, you have to buy him the drinks. Oh, fucking hell.
Bill,
Did you pass your medicals?
I passed my medicals.
You passed!
Yes, eye doctor approved. Doctor approved. We got it.
Oh my fucking god! It's happening! Wings passed his too!
Everyone's got nice cribs, isn't it? Fucking Keemstar's house looks massive.
Wings passed his too! They passed!
Look how high his ceilings are. Fucking hell. These guys are living well, innit, man? I gotta start doing some here it comes and years. I gotta start doing that too, man.
That's great.
He's even got a fucking white slave.
Wings passed his too! They passed!
That's great.
Look at that. White lady slave. Amazing. That's how much money he's got.
I thought you wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm gonna call you back.
Okay, awesome.
the Happy Punch prelims will be streamed on Misfit Boxing YouTube channel absolutely free.
Okay, nice. I'm looking forward to that one.
The first fight is Zuckles versus a mystery opponent. Then, of course, we have Archie, a Fortnite player, versus Nestor, who is like this family channel. Then we have Korn, you know Korn from Twitter, fighting Unibear.
Oh,
Steve
wow.
Will Do It from Nelk is singing the national anthem. And then Boogie 2988 versus Wings of Redemption.
May 13th, May 13th. Make sure you set your reminders.
I'm doing the boxing commentary along with Mams Taylor for Misfit, Pack God, and Gideon. Again, this is streamed absolutely free for you to watch on Misfit Boxing YouTube channel, and it's going to start at 5 p.m. local time or noon Eastern in the United States. So get out your phone, set a reminder. You will not want to miss this.
Yo, I'm looking forward to it, man. Anyway, I'm done. Fuck this. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. It's gonna be terrible, but it's gonna be absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually looking forward to watching it. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually looking forward to it. It's gonna be pretty good. That's a decent commentary lineup also, to be fair. It's gonna be quite the laughs are gonna be had. Good little fight card there. Wings v Boogie, Korn v Unbear, Lewis Nessa v Archie, and Zuckles v a mystery fighter. 13th, May 13th. Keep it peeled for that shit. Keep it dealed. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna do that live. I'm gonna do that live. Especially from here, I'm gonna do that live. Who's your pick? It has to be no, it has to be Wings, right? Because he's the one that looks a little bit more, if you can even use the word athletic, it doesn't even make sense, but he's the one person who's like could throw a punch or something. Maybe say Wings, because I don't think I've seen Boogie's feet move. Maybe it has to be Wings, but a part of me also thinks Boogie has that bit of like kamikaze in him, like he's willing to die in the ring. I think Wings would quit. I think Boogie would actually die in there to prove a point, for sure, and to gain some sympathy. Do you know what I mean? So I think Wings definitely should win. But don't be surprised if Boogie does. But if I have to pick one person, no, fuck it. I'm going to go Boogie. Let me go different, because everyone's going to pick Wings. I'm going to go Boogie. I'm rooting for Boogie. Fuck it. I'm rooting for Boogie. Boogie's my champion. I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he figures it out. Boogie. You might hit him with a wild haymaker on the side of the temple, and it's lights out for fucking Wings of Redemption. Let's hope in it. Let's hope. And if somebody dies, they die. The rest of the card I'm not really too bothered about. But yeah, big up. Everybody. Anyway, that is the end of the random show episode number 2988. Nice number. But yeah, big up the chat, big up everybody tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm gonna end it there, gonna call it a day. Thanks for tuning in. Been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If you've enjoyed the live stream, make sure you smash the likey button for me. That'd be pretty appreciated. What's Koya saying here? At the end of the day, they will both say they need donations to cover injuries. Yeah, Koila, you know what? That's a perfect summation. In the end, they all win. Keemstar gets richer. It kind of adds another arc to their begging. Whoever wins also gets a chance to set up another fight. So it's win-win. As long as no one dies, they all win. That's basically the name of the game here. Just don't die. Don't die and you're fine. Don't die, you can beg more, and don't die, you can maybe get another fight if you won. That's all you got to do. And I'm sure whoever loses will have a little bit of sympathy on the internet for like a couple of months, and it'll go back to normal when they get toxic again. Standard shit. But yeah, big up the stream chat, big up everybody for hanging in there. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll see you guys again very, very soon. Big up the stream chat. Appreciate all of you. Crash1948 here. Jared Mellerick. Richie, I see you. Shades, Cowl, I see you. Uche, I see you. Arian Privilege. Austin Casey, I see you. Matt Riz. Sleeping Buddha. Grown Baby Golf. Many people here. Who else is there? Story to Tell. Super Jello, I mentioned, I think, already. Big up every single one of you. Appreciate you all. It's been a pleasure, never a chore. And I'll see you guys again very soon. Peace. Peace, 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 peace out.